Pull up a seat and motherfucking listen. Pull up a seat and motherfucking listen.
Hey, pack your bag, time to go home.
Talking crazy on our soil where our blood and bones grown.
This our grind, we outside on it. While y'all fools on the outside looking, y'all show no respect to Black America, so leave. Hey,
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
get the hell up out of America, take your digits, make it just fly on.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, take your digits, make it just fly on.
You landed on the tarmac, fresh off the boat. Talking about y'all building nothing, man, you choking on the note. My ancestors the reason that this country even breathes. Picked the cotton, built the White House, planted the seed. Jim Crow laws, redlined the map, we was the target. You think that struggle's a costume, man, you can't mark it. We fought the wars, we bled the blood, we died for our future's chance. And you come here and give our legacy a side eye while throwing shade on the guard. Why you benefit from doors we kicked down with our last breath? Now you spit on the architects who stared down death. Disrespectful, that's disrespectful, ungrateful, a slap in the face to only people who gave a fuck. So let me show your ungrateful ass to the right place.
Pack your bags, time to go home.
Talking crazy on our soil where our blood and bones grown.
This our ground and we outside on it. While y'all fools on the outside looking, y'all show no respect to Black America, so leave.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, take your digits, make it just fly on.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, take your digits, make it just fly on.
Passport, the visa, the privilege to be here. Cause my grandma did march for y'all, so disappear from our land. You cosplaying our pain. Think it's a trend you can borrow, but you ain't inherit the ghosts of our sorrow. We the foundation, the bedrock, the soil, and the root. You not no branch on our tree, and unproductive people always cosplaying me.
Talking about we ain't do nothing, you lost your mind. We built this from nothing, time after time.
From the beginning to now, we been the backbone and muscle. Why you look down on the struggle and cause a whole tussle? That energy sky was discussing, it's whack.
So let's make it clear, there's no turning back.
This land is paid for in full.
In blood, sweat, and tears, and dreams deferred.
You don't get to come into a house we built from the dirt and telling Black America y'all ain't worth nothing. That's a violation. Facts.
Pack your bags, time to go home.
It's our soil on our soil where our blood and bones grown.
Show respect, this our ground. Y'all just tenants on a leash.
Or get the step.
Show no respect to Black America, so leave.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, taking your digits, I can just fly on.
Y'all don't get it, so it's time to go home.
Get the hell up out of America, taking your digits, I can just fly on.
Yeah, fly little birdies.
Fly on back to where you came from.
This ain't for you. This cell is sacred.
We said what we said,
It's time.
for y'all to go home. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Not far, far away from here. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Not far, far away from here. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Not far, far away from here. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. So fly a little birdies fly. Not far, far away from here. Bye bye, little birds.
thought we forgot, but we never forget. This one's for the rules. We built this land from dust and tears, 400 years, and we still here. They write new rules, but they don't see every freedom they got came off you and me. We planted seeds, they took the bloom. We lit the flame, they left the room. But we back now, no disguise. The spirit's woke, we realize all we want is what we earn. That sweat and blood, yeah, that table turn. You can't buy culture, can't fake that fight. This is our day, this is our ride. We LBA. Say it loud, say it strong. We the heartbeat that's been here all along. Foundational Black Americans, stand tall. We ain't begging for nothing, we built that all. Born from pain and grace, you can see the truth written in our face. We the soul, the sound, to fight the flame. Foundational Black Americans, say our name. They love our rhythm, but they dodge our blues. Use our voice when it fits their news. They take our sound, but not our scars. We the backbone, we the stars. Now the veil is gone, the mask is clear. We see the game, we know what's here. No more silence, no more lies. We lift that flag and watch it rise. Rise up, rise up. We the ones that made this nation breathe. Our veins are power, our roots are trees. We know worlds. It's rhythm and grace now, and now we're reclaiming our rightful place. Can't copy courage, can't steal pain. You can't inherit soul by changing names. Our story ain't done, it's the revival. We guard the gate, it's about survival. We FBA, say it proud, say it loud. The world dances on what we vow. Foundational Black Americans, still we stand, still we fight, still we demand. Every block, every song, we've been right here all along. The soul of a people strong and free. Foundational Black Americans. We the first, we the root, we the fire. Still rising, still here. Foundational Black American.
We set the tone and they copy the cadence. Dance to our drums and deny the foundation. Wear the style but don't honor the source. Smile in the crowd and you distance and force. Say you not us but you rap like we breathe. Take the rhythm, then fuse the receipts. I ain't mad, I'm just holding the glass. Showing the mirror, now answer it back. I ain't here to cancel nobody. Just keep it honest, keep it solid. If you eat from the table we built, don't act surprised when we guard it. Do you like that? Do you like that? When I flip your sound and I ride like that. Do you like that? Do you like that? Do you like that? Cause that's how it feel when you borrow my culture. Then act like we never mattered. Hip-hop.
Mike Larry. Now this shit here is what I see it is. We're not fighting your battles. We're not carrying your fear. We're not lending our history to people who erased us while we were here. Just cause you born here, don't make you FBA. That makes you a citizen, learn the difference today. This is lineage, not a look you can wear. Not a costume you borrow when it benefits you there. You use our culture like
like an access card, backstage pass, a straight facade, but now the mirror's in your face. No disguise, and you're uncomfortable looking truth in the eyes. We didn't leave our land to beg for a chance. We stayed, we fought, we took every advance. That's the separation, that's the line you cross. We paid the price, you learned the cost. You waving your flag on our soil, but fighting not to go back home. Waving your flag on our soil, building comfort on a foundation you didn't own. We waving our flag, red, black, and gold. Stood our ground, never sold. You waving your flag on our soil, scared to build what you claim you love. Our humor, our style, the way we move, the smoothness, the sound, the things we prove. Music we birth, language we shape, innovation forged under constant escape. Warrior spirit means stay and defend, not flee your land and rewrite the end. You call it success, but don't confuse the two. Ease came after what we went through. You abandoned your land and called it strategy. You waved that flag loud, but won't return to build your legacy. That contradiction tells the story for you. You waving your flag on our soil, we're fighting not to go back home. We waving ours where we were forged, every inch earned, every brick known. We can't be deported, and that truth changes everything. We can't be deported, and that truth changes everything. We know who we are, and now we see who you are too. Just because y'all born here doesn't make you FBA at all. It makes you an American citizen. It's biologically impossible to be us, because it's a lineage, not some damn costume you can just put on to look cool. You immigrants and immigrant Americans has used our culture as an access card, a backstage pass to our culture. Now y'all have to look in the mirror. Our sense of humor, the aesthetics, mannerisms, the style of dress, the smoothness, the creativity, our genres of music, innovativeness, our slang, our warrior spirit by staying on our homeland and fighting and not fleeing to somebody else's land to beg for a better life and shit on the very people who fought to have us there. That's who we are. And we know who the hell y'all are waving your flag on our soil and fighting to make sure y'all don't go back.
You can't leech off our culture anymore. Beat it!
Mike Larry, man, you did it again. We really making history. Let's go.
Do you like that? Do you like that?
Flip your sound, how you like that? Do you like that? Do you like that? Say it loud, don't walk it back. Do you like that?
Do you like that?
You grew up mimicking us, now y'all switch it up. Turn the carbon copy, y'all ain't black, what the fuck? It's funny y'all connecting to our culture like it's Wi-Fi. Surfing on our waves of our culture, no more agua. Feeling my culture for all these years. Look how time flies, all these colonizers in disguise. Y'all hate, y'all still hate us outside. Study dope, drip, vampires, the blood of our guilt. They copy the flavor, sip the juice, love the results, hate the truth. Who? Do you like that? Flip your sound, how you like that? Do you like that? Democratic shields, talking points, the road they fill. Fish and chips, agent on the mic, judging FBAs, but ain't you half white? Talking like you one of us, we need a pool face. The agent type with a prune face, like 50 and Jim, it's a cold game. Throwing stones cause we built our own lane. I'm joking, kinda, but I mean it. Smile calm, pressure intact. Y'all proud where y'all from, where they flag, beat they drum. But when it's us, tone switch fast. Same pride, but it's too much. FBA pride, lineage solid, you can't put this on, can't try it on. Built here, stayed and fought, that's the difference.
That's the car. Do you like that? Do you like that? Say it clear, don't twist the facts. Do you like that? Yeah. Do you like that? Do you like that? Point made. No edit. No care.
You know, erasing history is something that you have to do when it comes to conquest, domination, and destroying a people. If people knew who they were, what they were, and what they were capable of in the past, they will understand what they have a possibility or a likelihood of doing in the future.
Foundational Black Americans, we've always had a culture of resistance. We cultivated a culture of resistance on this land, and we've been resisting ever since we've encountered European domination.
But nothing was really popping in Europe until the transatlantic slave trade, and that's where they amassed a lot of wealth.
One thing that I think is unique about our culture as far as how we resist, how we fight back, is just the environment we were put in from day one. Being only 13% of the population, the white supremacists were very meticulous about keeping that population at a certain amount.
There was never a period when we did not resist the encroachment of the white man.
They have a natural behavior of authority no matter where they go. That's why they'll step up in front of us in the line at the store. We're not important. They don't even see us.
We've never been able to excel. We've never been able to relax. We've never been able to just be, which means that existence is resistance.
It must be something in our DNA, our historical background, to when something doesn't sit right with us, especially spiritually, in our souls and in our spirit, we just say no.
We live resistance. You know, from the moment we're born, we're in resistance. And it's handed down generation to generation.
And so I think that cultural resistance is actually in our DNA, in our epigenetics, and then it blossoms out into the culture.
So there's almost nothing in America that we do, from song to dance to politics to the way we talk, the way we dress, having coded languages considered to be slang today. Everything about Black American culture is a form of resistance.
Of course, they want to always downplay our contributions to the global tapestry because they continue to act like our number one export in this country is not Black innovation.
Everyone understands that our resistance has been the cornerstone of what foundational Black Americans have always done. We are the life that breathes everything into this nation.
The further back you go, the further Black you go. It's just simple like that, brother.
Introducing the B1 Rolodex, the easiest way to search for and support FBA and B1 businesses. Hundreds of entries from the Black grassroots for the Black grassroots. Free to use, free to download, constantly updated. Trouble navigating the document? Try using the map version. Notice a business missing? Use this simple Google form to submit an FBA or B1 business. Also submit anti-Black businesses, which are now being collected in that last tab. Find resources, contact numbers, and much more using the second tab. All the info you need to start practicing group economics today. Go to blacktruthunited.com. That's blacktruthunited.com.
Oh my God, Lady Che.
What?
Rising, Grand Rising. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Front Line Blacc News. I'm your host, Chan Krumah. And we're joined with our other host, Lady Che. She's seeing Jodeci in the background. And we got Shabaka Sankori. Shabaka's Black Experience Enhancer, which this is. Greetings, Shabaka, from the Mile High Income and Illegal Migrant Flooded City.
Hey, what's going on, man? Okay, I'm having trouble sharing out the link, man. Once again, they shadow banding us.
Oh, yeah, they're always doing that.
Yeah. They won't let me share it to Facebook.
Well, share it to Twitter, Shabaka. You have other avenues.
Okay.
All right. On this season 11, episode 37 of Grand Rising with Shabaka and Chase in conjunction with the Front Line Blacc News. We'll be discussing several topics. Val shouting you out. She said, "Hey, Lady Che."
Hey, Val.
Taraji P. Henson blast celebrity.
Taraji.
Oh my God, Taraji P. Henson. I don't know why you're giving her respect, Shabaka. She's a bad wench, but okay. Taraji.
Oh, damn. Now that ruined my day.
Blast celebrities for attending Jeff Bezos Met Gala. Then race to track deadly Hantavirus outbreak, as officials say it's not the next pandemic. Hantavirus outbreak latest as suspected cases rise and other trending stories. Doctors discuss the cruise Hantavirus outbreak. Twister slam Mississippi, destroying homes during tornado emergency. This is called Bogue. I think that's how you say it. Bogue Chitto resident shares heartbreaking story after violent tornadoes in Mississippi. Black legislators call out Republicans targeting Black voters with redrawn maps. Kalia Ali, former wife of Ali, says Ali cried for 3 days straight after Sam Cooke getting killed at the motel. Then Ali's former wife, Kalia Ali, says Don King was a pimp and a drug dealer who lived a wild life. And Americans admit they're hooked on Iran's viral Lego videos. We're based out of East Denver, North Aurora, Colorado. Get the news from a Frontline and Black First perspective. We are a part of the New Black Media and also the signal boosters of the New Black Media. We have been around for 6 seasons now and counting. Most Frontline Blacc News has been around for 6 seasons now and counting. And we have several platforms that are part of the Frontline campaign. Frontline Blacc News being one of the first, which started back in 2020, 2021. And Shabaka's Black Experience Enhancer, which this is based on the 50th anniversary of the founding of the original Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. It started on Blog Talk Radio back in 2016 and have been around for 11 seasons now. Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced covers the Black experience from the beginning of time until 10 minutes ago. It's also part of the Frontline campaign that has recently, within the last 2 to 3 years, moved from Blog Talk Radio to StreamYard. Please make sure you like and share the broadcast. Finally, please join us on StreamYard, YouTube, Frontline Blacc News. The links to all of our channels are in the description, including Frontline Blacc News. Frontline Blacc News 2, our backup channel. Make sure y'all sub up to that. Please sub up to that. Let's get to take Frontline Blacc News down again. Then we got my personal page, just Parasic at A-Chain Kruma. That's where we stream all the city council meetings in Denver and Aurora and the local Denver and Aurora Black events. And then we got Lady Che's backup channel, Seduction Doll. Make sure y'all sub to that so you can start going live on there. She needs like 8 more subscribers and she can start going live on that channel. Then we got her main channel, the RBA, the Revolutionary Agenda. She did one earlier this morning, so make sure y'all check that out. Yeah, Fake Book is on some bullshit, Shabaka. Then Shabaka's YouTube channel, Jeanette1. Make sure y'all sub to that so Shabaka can start going live again on YouTube. Then we got our cousin or Lokester out the Bay Area, Fairfield and San Francisco to be exact, Jay Militant. Make sure y'all subscribe to his channel, Witchcracking TV with Jay Militant. Then we got our brother Cooke out the Mile High. Make sure y'all sub to his channel, Cooke 5100. Then we got our brother Breeze Omega, who was live yesterday, but I missed his live. But he might be joining us this morning. We'll see. Breeze Omega, he just surpassed 1,000 subscribers. Right. So salute to Breeze. Make sure y'all check him out. He be dropping heavy knowledge on his channel. And then we got our brother Church of Black Power, who's originally from Watts, California, to Jordan Downs to be exact. And now is in Houston, Texas. And he just surpassed 3,000 subscribers. So salute to Church. Keep up the good work. Then we got our brother Torian Rain Reloaded, who put Lisa Cabrera on. He's about at 76,000 subscribers. Check him out. He's heavy. He's been around for a minute. He drops heavy content. Then we got our brother, last but certainly not least, Black Truth United, who's been on a hiatus. We came up with the B1 Rolodex, which I just played the ad for, which is a modern-day green book for FBA and B1 businesses alike. And the link to that B1 Rolodex is in the description. The link to submit your business to the Rolodex is in the description. Then we got, oh, what the hell just happened? Man, what is wrong with this computer? The computer is acting up. I don't know what happened to the camera. The camera just went out. Oh, well, the show will go on.
Okay.
Council the Congressional Black Caucus and create a foundational Black American caucus. The petition link is also in the description. Then take action now. Sister Brooks call to action in New York. Make sure y'all submit those letters and get that Flbn bill off the ground in New York, and we can get the reparations cracking in New York as well for Freedmen. And the links to that is in the description. Then we got support Lady Chase GoFundMe. Donate to that if you haven't already. Then we got the 103-year-old elder who's on the verge of losing her home in South Central Los Angeles, now South LA. And the link to her GoFundMe is also in the description. And then before the camera went out, y'all could see that I am a candidate on the ballot for House District 8. And the link to the website is in the description. Then we got copyright section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. And I do not own the rights to the music. And if you don't understand racism and white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else you think you understand will only confuse you. In all 9 or 10 areas of human or people activity, and that is economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And some say health and nutrition. In all 9 or 10 areas of human or people activity. There we go. I don't know what the hell happened to the camera, but it's back. And that was by Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., who transitioned exactly exactly a year ago at the age of 95, ProduceJustice.com. And when you are Black, Christian, or captured by any race, soldier, you must never fuss, fight, or flee. Comply and defend yourself in court. Also by Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., ProduceJustice.com. And last but certainly not least, we got racism and white supremacy as conscious and subconscious behavior to maintain white genetic survival, to prevent white genetic annihilation. And that was by the late, great master teacher, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, who transitioned exactly 10 years ago at the age of 80, at the age of 80. And she would have been 90 as of a month ago. And shout out to her FBA brother, Tariq Nasheed, for paying for her funeral, along with several others. So those are the topics. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. All right, Shabaka. So we're going to hop right into it with this Met Gala. So I guess Jeff Bezos paid for it. As you know, he's one of the richest people in the world.
Right.
And Taraji, P. Henson, and others decided to boycott it. So Professor Black Truth going to give us an update on that once I get to sharing the screen again.
Okay. All right. And I'm having connection issues out here in the desert. I don't know why. It's part of the shadow ban, man. You know?
Yeah. I think there's a storm coming into Cali. That's probably why.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the This is the moment of truth. The New York Metropolitan had their annual gala a couple of nights ago, and just before it, a woman named Meredith Lynch, who's described online as a pop culture commentator, was criticizing people who plan to go. And what she was focusing on was basically Jeff Bezos' involvement. He was going to be there along with his, I don't know what you would call it, wife. And this Lynch woman was saying that if anybody was planning to go there, especially if they were going to have one of those buttons that said ice out, well, she didn't think that they should go at all, because after all, why would they be there with Jeff Bezos after all the ways that he's been chummy with Trump? And Taraji P. Henson, of all people, chimed in, and she posted a comment saying, I am so confused by some people that are going. I am like, WTF are we doing? All caps, because that's how you know it's important. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Met Gala is an annual fundraiser that gets held to benefit the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute. Basically, it's nothing more than a fashion show for celebrities, mostly female, who come out and wear all kinds of outlandish outfits for a photo op for the white media, and they claim that they're all just so concerned about the arts. Whatever. But this lynch woman's post pointed out that the Met had accepted money from Jeff Bezos, who is good buddies with Donald Trump, and of course that Trump is withdrawing money from museums and libraries that support the arts, to say nothing of desecrating the Kennedy Center. So you got all of this hypocrisy going on in New York, supposed to be a Democrat stronghold, right? And you can see how wildly opposed they are to not just Donald Trump, but anybody who's in the orbit of the would-be dictator, who, by the way, is going to be ushering in a Fourth Reich this November, so we're told. But this is what's happening in New York City right now. This is supposed to be the so-called resistance to the Orange Man and MAGA, the people who are sitting here gladly taking money from the Orange Man's business pals, and of course giving a wink and a nod as Donald Trump tears down the very things that they claim to cherish. And what goes unsaid, though, by this lynch woman is that the Orange Man has been attacking government-backed Black historical sites. But that little observation didn't make it into Mrs. Lynch's diatribe about Jeff Bezos' involvement with the Met and how people should be reconsidering whether or not they even want to go. Interesting how when it comes to Black people, that's never a deal breaker with these good white liberals. Nor does she consider the inhumane and disgusting treatment that Jeff Bezos gives to his employees to be the grounds for people to avoid the Met Gala that night either. But immigration? Yeah, she's on a warpath for that one. And as a result, apparently so is Taraji Henson. She's objecting on general principle, though it's not exactly clear what the principle here is. She seems basically upset that these celebrities, and let's be honest, she's mostly pointing her ire at Black celebrities, were going to be attending the Met Gala. Now, if she wants to be upset about something, the real question is, why are all of these celebrities sitting here having this non-event party that they're going to with all these other things going on? Even if the Orange Man and his business buddies didn't have anything to do with the Met Gala at all, there would still be a lot of questions about why the world they're even doing it, especially at a time like this. Now, Miss Henson, I guess, is expecting these celebrities to take a stand on something. Well, she can start with these sterling examples of manhood. Ask these guys to go ahead and charge the parapets on behalf of whatever your chosen cause is. You got guys who are wearing pink, looking like graffiti boards, wearing skirts. By the way, in the case of Dwayne Johnson, he claims it's a Polynesian thing. That's fine. But what about the combat boots? I can't think of any Polynesians who are running around wearing those. But isn't it interesting? Taraji P. Henson sitting here talking about making a social statement, and these guys are more interested in making a fashion statement. You can't make this stuff up. I'm not entirely sure what Miss Henson was expecting these guys to be objecting to. She didn't exactly say, but whatever it is, which of these guys is she thinking is going to stand tall on that? A lot of celebrities have been wearing pins that say "Ice Out" on them. I find that to be appropriately ironic because when you look at what Beyonce and Rihanna were wearing, they were all iced out. See what I did there? So the really big names showed up to the Met Gala. They didn't care, and it was entirely predictable. Everybody who's anybody. There's going to be cameras there, big white media attention, so of course they're going. It's automatic. These people don't have any core principles other than me first. Jay-Z was there, of course, and Bad Bunny was there. Isn't that interesting? Because the left corner of the white media had you thinking that he was some sort of immigration activist just because he was the headliner of the Super Bowl and he said "Ice Out" at the Grammys. By the way, does anyone remember him saying that? He did say it, but my point is that it wasn't this huge earth-shaking moment that some people try to make it out to be. More people were talking about the Super Bowl appearance that he had and the white right's ire over it, as opposed to when he said "iced out" at the Grammys. People need to understand that these really big celebrities, they don't make it as far up the ladder as they do without white power having its hook spleen deep in their backsides. All of these people have handlers, usually white, and advisors and managers and a raft of people around them who tell them what to do. And there are others who are basically trying to manage their public image for them. And for a number of these Hispanic celebrities, they don't even consider themselves to be brown. They consider themselves to be white. They write that on their driver's licenses, school application forms, whatever, definitely on their bank statements. No matter what ICE may be doing, it's not some huge issue that they actually care about. But it does happen to be the elephant in the room, and that's why they feel like they have to respond to it. Oh, and speaking of elephants in the room, Yes, the last of the woolly mammoths made an appearance at the Met. People were simultaneously shocked and horrified. But while I'm sure that a lot of these progressive people on the left, especially from the Hispanic community, were probably surprised that Bad Bunny showed up there but didn't feel the need to speak out, they don't understand the way the real world works, especially not with these people. The problems that the status quo talk about, those are just PR trifles meant to be brushed off with a momentary statement crafted by their PR team. It gives them something to say when the activists demand to know, what have you done? So now that they've got their butts covered, they can go ahead and just ignore the rest of it, and that's what happens. It's back to business as usual. And by the way, you notice that Bad Bunny wasn't even bothering to sport an ice-out pin at the Met Gala either. He made the phrase famous, but as far as he's concerned, he's done. And while Taraji Henson may be full of righteous indignation, she just doesn't get it. There's no loyalty among a gang of opportunists, which is what all these celebrities are, which is why the black media doesn't run around trying to curry their favor. Yes, there are some solid black celebrities. We've shouted them out in the past, but they're damned few. The reality is that while Taraji Henson may be upset about the Met Gala having Jeff Bezos and his Botox boo in attendance, a lot of those other celebrities who were there, they went there knowing full well he would be there, wanting him to be there, and they would have loved to have any opportunity they could to ask him about a streaming service on Amazon. Or perhaps if they can get some preferential treatment from the website. After all, it is the world's biggest retailer now. And come on, let's just be bluntly honest here. If Jeff Bezos opened up the wallet and he went ahead and made sure that Taraji Henson had a show on there, do you really think that she would be all that upset publicly about it? You know Lena Dunham's talentless 2-ton behind was trying to beg up on something. A lot of those people there probably tried to get some FaceTime with Bezos in the hopes that he would put them on in some way or another. They always try to use these events to network. Now, of course, with all that's going on in the world, why are any of these people at the Met at all? Here's a better question. Why is the morally conscientious Taraji Henson focusing on this? After all, you have wars, the Supreme Court dismantling the Constitution, and other more serious things if she wants to talk about serious things. The Met is the last thing that deserves this level of concern. It's literally a fashion show for celebrities. Is it that serious? Well, for the people whose livelihoods are attached to the white media and who need it for their celebrity status because that's how they earn their daily bread, yes, this is that serious. It's what's front of mind for them. Would it have been any different if this was a party held at one of Jeff Bezos' mansions? Now you know. And while we can all agree that Jeff Bezos is 10 types of righteous trash, we also should have enough honesty to admit that the man's not going away anytime real soon. And all those people you saw there at the Met, they didn't have the same level of consternation about him that Taraji Henson has. That's just a fact. Sure, she thought that these Hollywood actors would at the very least hold the line. But when you think about it, when have these guys ever stood on business to begin with? Since when have any of these people ever held the line on anything? Taraji Henson may want to believe that her fellow celebrities have the same moral core that she does and that they're willing to go ahead and stand up for issues just like she does, but she's not living in the real world if that's the case. When have these people ever crossed white power to take any sort of principled stand? They're creatures of self-interest. That's how they got to that position in the first place. They have far more in common with the mentality of a Jeff Bezos than they do a Taraji Henson. And that's the reason why no matter how much these people may spout leftist rhetoric when it comes to the issues of the day, when you start talking about the money, they're not going to rock the boat. That's the reality of how these celebrities are, especially in Hollywood. These people have more unions but less unity than anyone. Taraji Henson may be complaining about this, but the rest of them, they're not going to be joining her on that. And it's not because they're coerced or that they're otherwise threatened. You don't have to. All you got to do is just wave the possibility of a paycheck under their noses, and they'll do the rest. That's the way it is at the so-called top. It's lonely for a reason. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Hildman Gallo, Devin Goodwin, Latrice Ross, Anthony Pollard, and Sakina Collins. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.
All right, Shabaka, it's lonely at the top. What are your thoughts, Shabaka?
Yeah, it is lonely at the top, and then on top of it, I don't have no sympathy for no trillionaires. Number one, is because they just have too much damn money, and then they out here setting narratives and things of that nature right there amongst themselves. $300 billion, man. You can't spend that in 5 lifetimes, man. You know what I mean? So, what they're doing is that they're extremely limiting what they would call wealth distribution. Okay, it's because only a handful of people, want to be these trillionaires, but they want everybody to go to them for their essential needs, which is crazy. It's like a nation of sheep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Khalifa says hi, everyone. Hi.
Hey, Khalifa. Yeah. Hey, Khalifa. Then also, too, I've been seeing somebody up on social media posting cat groups up there with little panthers and stuff like that. So Khalifa wants to get on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know Lady Che don't like this, but I know for a fact, when it comes to the cat, you are the pet.
Do you hear what he's saying?
I heard.
Say that. Why do you think they get so finicky and stuff like that, and just sit there and just purr, lifting their tails up and down? You know what I mean?
Amaru got into some shrooms yesterday.
Oh Lord, is he okay? I hope it ain't none of that psychedelic stuff, man. You know what I'm saying?
He took that motherfucking bag out my shit and fucking he like kind of run off on the plug. Like he took the bag out the shit, untied it, had a little nibble and stuff. Next thing you know, he's just laid back like me. I was like, yeah.
Like Jimi Hendrix, all along the Watchtower, yeah.
Off of the space, all relaxed and shit. I'm like, I can dig it.
Yeah, maybe Amaru wants to take a trip to Golden Gate Park back in 1968 with the Lucy of the Sky Diamond.
Lucy and the Diamond. Naughty ass little toddler. Like just digging in a motherfucker's purse and shit. I mean, I put it down. Let me tell it, I swear I took my bed. But like, motherfuckers got the giggles and shit, little mushrooms, like it's right up my alley. You hear me? I was just chilling, giggling.
So you in a cat with
the bag in his mouth.
Yep.
He had the bag of shrooms in his mouth. I was like, oh no. And I tied him. I tied him in a knot, like you do the bread bag.
Yeah.
Like this one little knot. I stuck it in my little bag all the way down at the bottom. Like, you know what I mean? Like just at the bottom. It's at the bottom of my purse. You know what I mean? It's like a naughty little fucking 2-year-old going in mama's purse. Taking out some shit and wanted to go experiment. He ran across, he untied the bag, got him a little nibble. I was like, oh no, that's gonna put it on there. And I would have grabbed it, and then I was looking at him like, I think he ate something.
No, I grabbed it.
I said, the bag felt a little light. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't, I've been eating mushrooms all day. But I was like, I don't know what my bag felt like. You know what I mean? When I was tied it in a knot. I was like, this thing he was all untied and shit, and a little loose. I'm like, I think he had a little nibble or two. I was like,
probably did.
Short, you know what I mean? Like, and then he was just chilling. He was like, rub me, touch me, extra affectionate and shit. He was like playing paws and he's like let me rub all over him, touch him. We never let me touch him. You know what I mean? They want to sit next to the motherfucker, just staring off into space and like I play with his paws. He's like, he's cool. He's like, just chill. Normally he's like, Rah! You're like a total ass, and he runs off. You don't want nobody to touch him. But then he's all up in Jesse's lap and like, look, rub up against me, cuz. Like like it was extra, like super etheric. You know what I mean? Like you can feel everybody coming off of him. He's just radiating over there, and I was like, I don't know who's enjoying this high more than me or you.
Then he went to sleep.
He straight went to sleep. And I woke up, I was like, what, some true stuff? And he walked off.
Okay, Lynch, what are your thoughts on Taj?
Who?
Tajay.
Who?
Tajay P. Henson.
About what? What'd she do?
She boycotted the Met Gala.
I mean, Met isn't really for us. You know what I mean? White people shit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they don't really they don't honor black people. They don't, especially don't honor black women who don't get paid enough to do films.
Mm-hmm.
And they always got some shit to say if your dress ain't right or You know what I mean? The Met Gala is like the fanciest of motherfucking dresses. They already got something to say, you know? And she's always been a big spokesperson of not getting paid enough, you know, for her work. So her boycotting is like, bitch, you ain't supposed to be there anyway. These are white events.
Right.
These are not meant for people. They don't honor black people like that. They honor white people for black people's work. You're just there. You don't even have to. You should boycott. What are you boycotting? It's not for you anyway. You know what I mean? That's what Essence. That's what other shit like this meant for. We do an award show for us. You know what I mean? Like to honor FBA actors, actresses, and shit like that are really good. They gotta be replaced by British television and shit. You know what I mean?
But Lady Che, Hollywood ain't gonna tell the truth about us anyway.
Right.
You see.
And
the classic example of that is that film they did in the 50s called The Ten Commandments. I forgot what's his name was, but it was made by Cecil B. DeMille. You know what I'm saying? And all that part all over the world, them as black folks. But, you know, they showing them as white. And then on top of it, there was somebody, you know, I'm not going to mention no other content creator unless they mention us. But there was I saw some material where there was a gentleman, you know, who was doing something about that. You see, so once again, y'all got me doing a bunch of reading today. You know what I mean, and what have you. So I can get, so I could do, you know, the proper research. Now I see why that raggedy ass governor of Florida, you know, with this quote unquote woke theory. See, they want to totally strip us of their brutalization toward us. Now, on this Hantavirus, okay, that I was looking at last night, is that they were saying is they don't know how it got there, you know, it's transmitted, you know, through coughs and stuff like that. You see, then of course they're saying the ship was off the coast of Africa right there, you see. So
the race to track a deadly virus outbreak that started on that cruise ship in the Atlantic after authorities have now revealed tonight that many passengers got off that cruise ship weeks ago. The Hantavirus outbreak linked to that cruise ship in the Atlantic. Health officials tracking at least 30 people now who got off the ship 2 weeks ago, traveling to their home countries all over the world, including 7 Americans now back in the U.S. 3 people taken off that ship in just the last 24 hours, 2 of them in serious condition. 3 other people have died. Tonight, 18 Americans remain on board that ship, the World Health Organization urging calm. ABC's Victor Akendo leading us off.
Tonight, the race to stop a deadly hantavirus outbreak on this cruise ship, now stretching across 4 continents, including here in the U.S. The World Health Organization is urging calm.
This is not coronavirus. This is a very different virus. This is not the start of a COVID pandemic. This is an outbreak that we see on a ship. There's a confined area.
That ship with 18 Americans on board expected to dock in Spain's Canary Islands on Sunday. Sick passengers evacuated from the ship are now being treated in the Netherlands, South Africa, and Germany. A KLM flight attendant is also being tested after coming into contact with a sick passenger from the ship who was removed from the plane on her way home and died the next day. Ruby Chennett was on the ship with the woman and on that flight. Her husband was the first passenger to die.
Everyone was trying to support her socially, giving her hugs, talking to her at every meal. And that's when it got really dangerous. I saw her health deteriorating.
Tonight, Dr. Ashish Jha, who coordinated the White House response to the COVID pandemic, is most concerned about the people on the ship.
This is obviously a deadly virus, 30-40% mortality rate. It can take a while for symptoms to show up. So we have to be really focused on making sure that if anybody starts developing symptoms, that they get care immediately.
The journey over was a bit rocky.
The cruise left from Argentina.
I'm spending the next 35 days crossing the Atlantic, visiting some of the most remote islands in the world.
Passengers like Jake Rosemarin documenting their tour of remote islands and wildlife. But tonight, teams are tracking 30 people who got off the boat 2 weeks ago on St. Helena from a dozen countries, including 7 Americans who returned to Arizona, Georgia, California, Virginia, and Texas.
I very much understand why people are having PTSD from the COVID days. But what I remind people is this is not a novel virus, and it spreads far less efficiently. So the chances that somehow this will become this big global outbreak infecting lots and lots of people is extraordinarily low.
When the ship arrives in the Canary Islands, passengers and crew will be screened on board before they can go home. And David, as for those 7 Americans who returned to the U.S., none have symptoms, but they are being closely monitored. David?
All right, Victor Akendo leading us off tonight. Victor, thank you.
Oh, man, I can't wait till I get to speak.
All right,
There you go.
I got another video, but go ahead.
Because this is stupid. I would have let not nail one of them motherfuckers off that boat. I would have let them off the boat. I let the CDC come in and
I agree.
Because once they got off the boat, in their perspective, this is a Carnival cruise line, right?
Yep.
So you know them motherfuckers ain't got no love for nobody.
Mm-hmm.
They'll keep motherfuckers off in the middle of the cruise in any island they come close to.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So they're saying it like it's not a thing. The fucking isn't. You got 3 fucking deaths. It's airborne. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers are dying and are sick and shit in other South Africa and fuck they're everywhere else. The Netherlands, right? And you send everybody else home. You let them off the boat to come home. You know how some people got maybe got good systems that shit don't kick in like right away, immediately. They go home and they start chilling, they start doing their regular routine. All of a sudden they get sick, they got the runs, they throw it up, I have fevers. Next thing you know, they got scanes, whatever the fuck this is, right? And they're sick. They're like, where were you? Have you been out of town? Have you been abroad? And all of a sudden they find out that they were on the boat. And they see another case for Hantavirus. It's not a pandemic. That's what they said about the pandemic. The pandemic. It wasn't a fucking thing. And then all of a sudden it was a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Nobody could come outside. All they have to workers dropping off DoorDash, toilet paper, and weed and shit. Whereas they're fucking on Zoom. How come everybody got so good on Zoom? Because fucking COVID, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God.
Right. And then not to mention too, because I'm being shadow banned real bad this morning. But not to mention too, okay, it started in a laboratory. They're using Africa.
Yep.
Okay, they're using Africa once again as a laboratory. You see.
It's easy to blame everybody else. I want to let nobody off that motherfucking boat. Once you got that the 3 people died, ain't nobody getting off that motherfucking boat. Like CDC got quarantined in their own bubble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they could have did that. There's only like fucking 20 people on there. That's a fucking cruise ship. You got plenty of room to quarantine everybody. You know, like the fucking look, tropical air from one section to the next can set it off. You know, you never know. So, and here's another question: what the fuck are rats doing on the ship?
Well, see, that's just it, though, Lady Che. When ships are moored, okay, when they're moored, if you notice that they would have great big old round devices on the moorings, right, which is the cord or the rope that ties the ship to the dock, supposedly so rats won't get on it. But what they fail to realize is that rats can also go into warehouses, go off into boxes of material that they store on the ship. And I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts is that some motherfucker had went up there with an, okay, you remember the movie Outbreak?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, similar shit right here, that they had some damn lab rat that they probably infected with that shit and put it up there on the cruise ship to start the virus. But why is it that they always start these viruses near or off the coast or on the continent of Africa? You see, I'll tell you why. Because they want to exterminate the people and get the resources up there.
And you put them in a third world hospital too. Like, come on, man.
No,
like,
that's what I'm saying. See, that's what I'm saying. That's why they keep Africa impoverished on purpose. So therefore, they will not utilize the raw materials that they have there with the gold, the bauxite, things like that for their self-interest. You see what I'm saying? So this is why, like just like we said all along, in the beginning, we had the land, the European had the Bible. We closed our eyes and prayed. And then when we rose up and opened up our eyes and raised our heads, the European had the land and we had the Bible. Let's say it's all strategic. See, Europeans plan stuff for long-term effects. They look at their future generations. You see what I mean? You know, and I hate to say, unfortunately, we're the exact opposite, but it's engineered that way. They just want us to live for the moment. Then they want us to forget about the brutalization. You see, that's
what was the name of that song? Living for the moment. Who sang that song?
Living for the moment. You mean living for the weekend or living for the moment?
Living for the moment.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one living for the moment, but I am familiar with the one living for the weekend. That there was the OJs in the mid 70s, the pre-disco era. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Stay for 30 days.
All right, I got more videos on this.
Okay.
I'm Ashin Singh. It's Thursday, May 7th. You've got questions and we've got answers. This is Search, where we're breaking down what you're asking right now in real time. Let's get right to it. We've got our Maya Ephraim here. She oversees our online search trends. Maya, how you doing? What are people searching for right now?
Hi, Ashin. Starting with a developing health crisis that has triggered a massive spike in interest with searches in the millions. A cluster of hantavirus cases on a cruise ship is raising global alarms. With at least 3 fatalities already reported and passengers disembarking, users are now searching for how this virus compares to COVID-19. Turning to the Middle East, searchers want to know where peace plan talks stand right now and what could finally end the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. This logistical deadlock is leading to searches for gas prices and global jet fuel shortages. And finally, in the South, a night of terror and as violent and massive tornadoes tore through Mississippi. The system leveled homes, leaving residents trapped in the debris. Now, videos from Mississippi are going viral as people search for the latest on the damage and whether more tornadoes are expected.
Yeah, the damage in those videos just looks brutal. Maya, thank you. We'll check back in with you in just a bit. Okay, let's dive a little deeper into the story you guys can't stop asking about. What's going on with the hantavirus outbreak on that cruise ship Maya mentioned. We've got our Victor Oquendo from Miami. He's been following the story from the jump. Victor, thanks for joining us. Man, where is this cruise ship right now?
Ashin, it is on the way to Spain's Canary Islands. Nearly 150 people still on board, including 17 Americans. Once they arrive, Spain's health minister says passengers will be assessed on board the ship itself and will only disembark for transfer or repatriation with protective equipment and without contact with the population.
Well, Victor, it feels like deja vu. What do we know about these sick passengers?
Okay, so 6 confirmed cases, 6 suspected. So right now, we are at a total number of 12. The first victim, a Dutch man, he was likely infected in Argentina before boarding the ship. The theory is that he visited a landfill while bird watching and contracted it from rodents. He likely gave it to his wife, who also died. We know that the ship's doctor, a British man, he became ill while caring for the sick. He had to be transported off the ship and is now recovering in South Africa. There are suspected or confirmed cases in Switzerland, the Netherlands, Germany, and Singapore. Ashin, this is a growing list.
Yeah, Victor, we're seeing a ton of searches about whether the hantavirus is here in the States.
So you
Do we
just
know
proved
anything
my
about that? What
point
are health
right there.
officials saying?
Okay, so 4 states, California, Arizona, Texas, and Georgia, say that they are monitoring former patients who were on board that ship. Now they're here in the States. But so far, and this is very important, no U.S. residents are showing any symptoms.
That's huge news. Victor, what's the WHO saying about all this? We're seeing a ton of searches about just how this spreads, just how contagious it is. What do we know?
So hantavirus is a respiratory infection. There is no treatment for it, and it can kill up to 40% of those infected. The World Health Organization says testing so far has identified the rare Andes strain, which can spread from person to person. An expert from the WHO said that a boat makes for a very specific environment for transmission, as close contact is key for transmission.
How
Yeah,
convenient.
Victor, I said deja vu earlier. As you can imagine, people are searching, comparing coronavirus to the hantavirus. Any idea just how they stack up?
Okay, so here is a direct quote from the World Health Organization. I want to be unequivocal here. This is not the start of a COVID pandemic. This is an outbreak that we see on a ship. It does not spread the same way as coronaviruses, but rather through close
intimate contact.
Right. Thanks so much. I'm sure we're going to be staying up on this story with you. I appreciate your time. All right, let's get to our Tom Soufi Burge on the ground in Tel Aviv. There's a lot going on in the Middle East and questions about what comes next in the war with Iran. Tom, thanks again for joining us. It's our top search. Is there a deal with Iran now?
The simple answer to that question, Ashton, is no, not yet. What is happening right now is that we are inching seemingly towards an interim deal. It wouldn't solve all of the issues. It wouldn't address the future of Iran's nuclear program, which has been a red line for the Trump administration up until now. But it appears that diplomacy is back on and we are moving in a positive direction.
Yeah, Tom, you mentioned that interim deal. We're seeing a ton of searches about this phrase, memorandum of understanding. What does that mean?
Good question. I mean, it basically means that it would be an interim deal, a sort of framework. It's been called a one-page document. The critical thing here, Ashton, is that both Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, isn't letting all of those commercial ships through. There's about 1,500 parked up to the west of that critical waterway. And then the US military has a blockade on Iranian ports, so no ships can go in and out of Iranian ports. The idea is that there is a common interest here for both sides to drop both of those blockades and basically alleviate the pain that that's afflicting on the global economy, on energy prices, and of course, gas prices in the US.
And Tom, we're seeing a ton of queries about Saudi airspace. How does that factor in all this?
Yeah, so this was some reporting from NBC and also now from the Wall Street Journal. Basically saying that the Saudis basically shut off or basically stopped allowing the US military to use their airspace and bases in Saudi Arabia for a period of time after President Trump on Sunday night announced this new plan called Operation Freedom to try and put loads of US military assets around the Strait of Hormuz and effectively try and force Iran's hand in reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Now, remember, about less than 48 hours after that announcement, President Trump then paused Operation Freedom. It is still paused right now. It looks like the Saudis were not happy about that operation. They had reservations about it. The key question going forward, will that operation restart? And if it does, can it succeed? I mean, I think what will be key is that the Iranians need to be effectively on board, and there needs to be this interim deal in place between the two sides, and therefore ships might start passing through that critical waterway, the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, Tom, I feel like we wouldn't be chatting if I didn't ask you a little bit deeper about the Strait of Hormuz. People are searching about it all the time. What do we know about how the tensions are fueling the traffic in the Strait?
Yeah, I mean, look, at the moment, you've just got 1,550 ships, according to the US military, just basically trapped in that waterway. I mean, you have to look at the geography here. You know, you see the narrow Strait of Hormuz. It's 20-something miles at its narrowest point. Iran to the north, the UAE below it, and all of those ships are just parked up to the west. There's no way out except for via the Strait of Hormuz. And really, the Iranians, they don't control the waterway there, but they have had the ability over the last few weeks to basically threaten ships. And the belief is that there are mines in those waters, or have been mines. The key question is, have those been cleared now? Is there safe passage? And if there is this interim deal, will Iran basically give shipping companies the confidence and the guarantees they need to get those ships out so they can export all those really important goods to the countries where they're heading? And that will begin to sort of, you know, alleviate this sense of economic crisis and fallout from this war.
Tom, thank you so much. Here's to hoping diplomacy prevails. And now we go to talk about the tornadoes that ripped through Mississippi. Our Faith Abube is reporting on the ground there with a look at the destruction. Faith?
Ashton, it's remarkable the extent of the devastation that we're seeing in neighborhoods here in Lamar County. Here in Purvis, in the subdivision, you can see behind me the roof completely gone on this house. And it's not just this house, it's home after home after home in the subdivision, especially on the street. This one where I'm standing, this was the wall in the front of the building. These were columns that were holding up the awning and the roof. All of that is now here on the ground. You can see the front door is now over here. If you come with me to the living room, the family tells me that they were sitting here watching television when the storm sirens started blaring last night. They quickly heard the wind picking up, the storm was getting stronger and stronger. They ran into the interior room. The mother was able to get in this room, but she said the winds were so strong at that point, the roof was giving way. The materials were flying around this area. She had to cling onto the mattress in order to keep herself safe. She was able to hunker down later on in the bathroom. And all of them, all three adults, were able to walk out of here without any significant injuries. Across the state, at least 17 injuries have been reported, but remarkably, no deaths, despite all this damage that we're seeing here, people riding through this. Some parts of the state, some families say they were trapped in their homes. Officials say they are still assessing the damage at this point. But so far this year, there have been more than 60 tornadoes across Mississippi. And by far, the storms last night were the worst. Ashen?
Yeah, those images of destruction are just harrowing. For more on the tornadoes and the storm path, our senior meteorologist, Melissa Griffin, is here. Melissa, are there any active tornado risks or warnings still going on right now?
Well, Ashen, it was such a terrifying night in southern Mississippi, and that line of storms continued into this morning through early afternoon. There was a tornado watch in effect for parts of the Florida Panhandle that recently expired. There were multiple tornado warnings still today, including in Tallahassee, Florida. But these storms are finally weakening as they continue to push off to the east, off into eastern central Florida and into parts of Georgia. So thankfully, we are seeing the severe weather starting to wind down. But it was that same system that brought what will likely be at least 3 long track strong tornadoes to southern Mississippi, Brookhaven and Purvis. As Faith mentioned, those are the areas that got devastated the worst from these tornadoes. And also, we are watching this very closely because we are in peak tornado season. Yes, just like there's hurricane season, we do have a tornado season. It's usually mid-April to mid-May when we see the most activity. To date, Mississippi has seen 62 tornadoes. In first place, Illinois with 108, but we still have a ways to go for tornado season, Ashen.
Yeah, wow. Melissa, what is the latest on the storm that fueled these tornadoes? I know you said it started to peter out, but what can we look for there?
Yeah, let's take a wider look at the radar here. You can see we still have some of that shower and thunderstorm activity lingering in Florida, even into southern Georgia and parts of the Carolinas. We're still seeing some rain and thunderstorms, but thankfully so much weaker than what we saw last night. That's going to exit pretty quickly, but we're going to see a lot more rain in some of these areas. It will be beneficial rain for much of the South because they are in an extreme drought. But look at southern Mississippi. These are the areas that will be cleaning up into the weekend from those tornadoes. They could see about 1 to 3 inches widespread of rain from several more systems. And again, it will be beneficial here. You can see the extreme to exceptional drought for so much of the area, but we will continue to track these thunderstorms to the weekend for these parts of the South that are still devastated from the tornadoes. Luckily, it does look like the severe weather will not be as bad over the weekend.
She wasn't kidding about that rain, though. I just had a layover in Atlanta, and it was pouring there. Melissa, I appreciate your time. We just ran through your top searches, but what else is on your timeline? Let's get back to Maya. Maya, what else is trending right now?
Ashan, in a surprising turn for local politics, the Los Angeles mayoral race took a Hollywood twist last night. Incumbent Karen Bass faced off in a debate with 2 candidates, including reality TV personality Spencer Pratt. He's been criticizing the city's leadership through viral ads and used the stage to tackle hot-button issues like homelessness and public safety. And finally, if you've noticed a strange red glow in your social media feeds, you're not alone. Red light masks are officially the latest beauty obsession as searchers look to see if the technology actually lives up to the hype for anti-aging and skin repair. Searchers are clearly looking for the best ways to get that professional spot glow from the comfort of their own couch.
Maya, I can't lie. My fiance has got me on the red light mask. I'm not sure if it's doing anything, but it makes me feel like I'm doing something. So I feel like that's half the battle, right?
So then it works, yes.
Maya, thanks so much. Coming up, one search always leads to another. We've got a trending topic, but that's just the surface. The pain at the pump is real. We're answering your gas price questions in the spiral. Up next. Welcome back to Search. Today's top searches are only part of the story. A simple scroll can sometimes take you down a deep rabbit hole. It's time now for the spiral. All right, you guys can't stop asking questions about oil and gas prices for a lot of obvious reasons. We're following your clicks and curiosity, and it looks like you guys want to know if prices will go down at any point, and what to know about the Justice Department looking into oil trades related to the Iran war. So let's break it down. We've got Patrick DeHaan up first, then our Catherine Falders. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Let's start with the crazy price of gas and if there's any relief in sight. Patrick DeHaan is the gas buddy guy. He's going to have answers to your questions. Patrick, first of all, thank you for joining us. This is the question that comes up every single day. Why are gas prices so high? Break it down for us.
And a lot of this stems from the Strait of Hormuz. What has happened there has really impeded the global supply of oil in a significant way. Probably the most vital piece of infrastructure when it comes to oil prices is the Strait. 20 million barrels a day now are essentially being blocked by the risk of attack. So that closure now has really had an impact on global supply. Some countries in Asia and Europe are having a harder time to find supply, and that is pushing prices up everywhere. That barrel of oil that we use, well, that can be exported. In fact, in near records now, U.S. Exports, that is oil, gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel, are leaving our shores at a pace of nearly 100 million barrels every week. That's putting a lot of upward pressure on what you and I pay at the pump.
For sure. And Patrick, people are asking if and when prices will go down. If the war in Iran ends, will this stop the pain at the pump?
Well, it all really depends on specifically the Strait of Hormuz. Even if the war amplifies or ends, it really depends on what's happening in the Strait. Are ships able to transit through the Strait? Is there much confidence? That is what was really contingent on how much higher we go the longer the Strait is closed, or we could see relief if and when the Strait reopens for a longer period of time. Not like where we saw 3 weeks ago when Iran and the U.S. both said it was open and then they said it was closed almost immediately. So it's going to need to be a longer lasting reopening of the Strait. Then we could start to see lower gas prices return.
Yeah, Patrick, just how crazy are these prices getting? How high are the numbers that you're seeing right now?
Yeah, looking at live gas buddy data, we are at about $4.56 a gallon. We're down a whopping penny today, so a little bit of downward momentum, but these are the highest prices we've seen since July of 2022. We've only seen these prices, by the way, for a total of roughly 3.5 to 4 months ever. So we're in uncharted territory, and I'm worried that the pain could worsen if the Strait doesn't reopen.
Yeah, Patrick, I'm going to need some industry secrets now. People want to know where to find the best gas prices. Are there any tips or tricks that they can look for?
Well, there certainly are. You know, aside from just going down the street and filling up your tank, having a companion with you really helps show you those lower prices, whether it's the Gas Buddy app or Google Maps or Waze. Sometimes navigation apps will show you where the lower prices are. So fire those up if you're getting low on fuel. Make sure to find a lower price station. Otherwise, you can go on the web as well to the Gas Buddy website. But that is often a way that you can find stations 20, 30, even 40 cents a gallon lower.
Patrick, really useful tips. Thank you so much. Let's bring in Catherine Falder. She covers all things Washington for us and has more on what to know about this DOJ investigation into oil trades. Catherine, this is the part of the story that feels almost dystopian. What exactly is the Justice Department investigating here?
Yeah, look, and it seems like an obvious thing for the Justice Department to be investigating. This is something that they would typically investigate all the time. They're suspiciously timed oil trades. I would assume that investigators want to know particularly why those trades happened when they did, why they were timed when they did. So it is not surprising that the Justice Department is looking into this and probing this in some form or fashion. We'll just have to see ultimately what comes from it.
Yeah, Catherine, how has the rising prices of oil and gas been connected to all this? And how are the trades actually being made?
Well, they were being made in the oil futures market. So they were timed just before big policy pivots by President Trump on the Iran war. For example, if we're breaking this down, on March 23rd, data from the London Stock Exchange shows just 15 minutes before Trump posted that he would delay attacking Iran's power grid, traders bet $500 million and that oil prices would fall. Then again on April 7th, a few hours before Trump announced the ceasefire, nearly $1 billion in bets on oil dropping. Again, there was a similar pattern later in April. On April 14th, $760 million in trades just 20 minutes before Iran announced the Strait of Hormuz was open. And then again on April 21st, 15 minutes before Trump extended the ceasefire, traders bet $430 million that oil would go down.
It's almost unbelievable. Catherine, is the agency saying who might be involved?
I would assume that they know who's involved. You can see who's trading, but they're not saying that publicly. That data is not available. So we'll just have to wait and see if anything comes from these investigations.
Yeah, Catherine, correct me if I'm wrong, but does this not sound like insider trading?
It could amount to that. And that's the purpose of such an investigation. If it is insider trading, if these traders had knowledge of these policy moves before for example, that these trades were made. Again, that is all something that investigators want to know, and I'm sure they will find out.
Catherine, before I let you go, what are the potential penalties here?
Yeah, it's a good question. Again, it depends really what's happening here. If it's insider trading, that could be a lot of jail time, for example. There is kind of a range here, but it really ultimately will depend on what any probe, any investigation does ultimately find.
Catherine, thank you so much. Still ahead, it might be at the top of your feed, but what's the vibe? We've got your top pop culture and entertainment searches with Roxy Diaz, including why rapper Kodak Black was arrested. Vibe Check is next. You know what that music means. It's time now for our Vibe Check, a look at what's buzzing in entertainment and pop culture. Our Roxy Diaz joins me now for more on what's trending on your feeds. Roxy, what's going on, Queen? What's the vibe?
Hey, I got a lot for you today. Heroes and Nashville star Hayden Panettiere is finally living in her truth. The actress publicly reveals she identifies as bisexual in a new interview with Us Weekly, saying it was her writing of her memoir, her up-and-coming memoir, that gave her the courage to share this part of herself. She reveals that she's been afraid for years, worried about what her team, what people would think, and the public opinion would be. But at 36, and after writing her life story, she's done holding back, telling the magazine, quote, "I've chosen to share it with the world." Her memoir also covers her battles with addiction, postpartum depression, and domestic abuse. Now, Melissa Barrera is not done talking after being fired from the Scream franchise in late 2023. You may recall that the actress posted messages to Instagram calling for peace and criticizing the Israeli government's treatment of the Palestinian civilians. She's currently on Broadway in Titanic. And when asked in a Variety interview whether the Scream 7 cast were basically crossing the picket line by returning after her firing, Barrera flat out said, "Oh, 100%. I think they all are." She went further, saying that the project leans on nostalgia, but it had lost its creative edge after Jenna Ortega and the original director both walked away. Now, there's also a new couple alert. Well, at least that's what's being speculated by fans and the blogs. Billie Eilish and Nat Wolff made their official red carpet debut at the LA premiere of Billie's new concert film, Hit Me Hard and Soft. The tour is live and in 3D. Dating rumors first kicked off in March of 2025 when they were spotted leaving the iHeartRadio Music Awards together. And last summer, Billie and Nat were photographed kissing on a balcony in Venice, Italy. I mean, if you're going to kiss, that's a perfect place to do it. But Billie's concert film is a very big deal. It's co-directed by Billie and three-time Oscar winner James Cameron. It documents her sold-out tour run-in Manchester, and it hits theaters in May 8th. And last but not least, back behind bars, Kodak Black arrested on drug trafficking charge. The rapper was taken into custody on Wednesday in Florida for allegedly trafficking MDMA, aka Molly. His arrest stems from an incident in November 2025 outside of a nonprofit in Orlando, where officials say police were called after reports of gunfire. Adding, they found a pink pill that tested positive for MDMA inside the BMW at the scene. Now, Kodak Black's attorney says that the arrest was a coordinated surrender. They plan to fight the trafficking charge, calling it a weak legal basis. The 28-year-old is currently being held behind bars with no bond. All right, that's what I got for you. A lot going on, Ashton.
A lot going on, Roxy. We got to keep Trill Bill out of trouble, man. Seriously. All right, Roxy, thank you so much. I'm Ashin Singh, and this is Search on ABC News Live, where your questions meet real answers. We'll leave you with what's trending right now on abcnews.com. You can scan that QR code right there to catch up. I'll see you back here tomorrow.
All right, welcome back, Shabaka. Shabaka.
Yes, conquer, man. Yeah, can you hear me?
Barely.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You said, they shot abandoned man with this bullshit, man.
Yeah, you sounding like you're underwater.
They shot abandonment with this. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And got the headset on, not the Bluetooth.
So for more, let's bring in CBS medical correspondent, Dr.
Clear. So what it means is I don't have a clear connection.
Yeah, it sounds really choppy.
Yeah, that's them and that. Yeah, I know. See, that's them and that bullshit again. You say? That's them and that bullshit. You know.
So we basically
so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna break up. Go ahead.
We covered the top stories that's trending and what's being searched.
Okay. Right.
No, that was just
then I get some time.
Lady Che, what are your thoughts on that clip?
Yeah.
It's empty. It's over here.
Lady Che.
I'm sorry, I looked for my pre-roll the Justice Bowl.
No, I didn't steal it. It's right here.
Was it saying, did you steal it?
No, you left it over
I
here.
stole it from you. You can't steal
Oh my
it.
god.
Jesus Christ. I don't like this. First the cat, now you. You're always stealing the pre-rolls. What's it gonna say? About what? About them or the Bluetooth being charged or what?
All that.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Like, this is all white people talk. Kodak Black though, I feel like that's a setup.
Yeah.
And like one pill for real, like that's all. We found one single pink pill.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're doing a dirty. That's a setup. Somebody did that. You don't have to sell it. You know what I mean? So he probably took it, but either way, man, like they're gonna hit him. They're gonna do him like they did Diddy with the drug charge, or not the drug charge, the insinuation of somebody bringing drugs and he's trafficking you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're doing just like they did Diddy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nah. Everybody knows that motherfucker likes to turn up. One pill, one single pill.
No, maybe it's Haitians that come out for him.
And they were like, nah, never do that. Come on, it's America that supports you. You did? But I think they're going to do them just like that. And the fact that they give him no bail, like, it is only $75,000. He can come up with that. That's easy for him. Yeah, but just like Diddy, remember they didn't want Diddy's money either. He was trying to give him 10 million or 50 million. Remember? 50. They said, "Oh no, not you, cuz keep your money." 50 million. You're gonna turn out 50 million. I'd be like, let you out. Pardons are going for 10 million.
Right.
You can easily get a pardon.
Yeah.
But vice person's like, no, we don't want your money. We want you to serve time under the jail. Like, what? Everybody else can buy a fucking pardon. You know what I mean? Everybody else, he got a trick charge, like a straight John charge, like the first time dare charge, solicitation charge. Yeah. Slap on the wrist. They're gonna do like 4 years, and they wouldn't take his money. Not for bond, nothing, no ankle monitor. Ankle monitors are together free.
Oh my god! All right, so now we're gonna hear from the
no ankle monitor.
I think this is just an attack on the black man because we're at war right now. We've been at war, but if nobody's paying attention, we're really getting hammered with this motherfucking anti-black vitriol, anti-black terrorism right now. And we're not really outside, but it's really happening. Like, they're really destroying a lot of
Editor at large for public health at KF.
Like everything's kind of like to fuck with black people right now, Black Americans, you know what I mean? And if you're not paying attention, it's very, very clear that it's white supremacy, racism, white supremacy. Right there in your face, no chaser, straight direct. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Straight direct. By the way they're doing this gerrymandering bullshit, by the way by what Trump's doing, the stripping of our fucking statues and whatnot. You know what I mean? There's a whole bunch.
We're gonna have to put them back.
Erasure.
Well, that's why I said, that's why I said fuck voting. You know what I'm saying? I told them my voter registration card and everything.
At the presidential level,
because it's a waste of time.
Not at the local state.
But
well,
I think the voting is more significant at the local level and the state level as opposed to the federally level. Because if you really check it out federally level, that's why they got that electoral college bullshit. You see what I'm saying?
Yep, and that goes back to chattel slavery.
Well, all the way back to chattel slavery. That was built on slavery. I mean, the thing is, I feel like this it's really the way the Democrats are fucking making it sound like. It's kind of funny to me, but not really funny. It's making it sound like this might be the last season that we get a chance to vote black on anything, right? The way they're making it sound. And I'm like, well, you know,
FF Health News. So Dr.
y'all had fucking 60, 80 motherfucking years to do some shit. Now you want to get it. Now you want to get right. Now you want to act like you're gonna do some work. Like this is a little too late. Now we just gotta suffer the fucking consequences of their motherfucking neglectful fucking cronyism.
Yep. All right, let's hear from these doctors. Let's hear from these doctors that discuss
Remind us what hantavirus is and why it can be dangerous.
So people usually get hantavirus from rodents, as we heard, if they're cleaning up maybe rat droppings, mouse droppings in the garage or the basement. By doing so, you might be sweeping, vacuuming, you kick that up.
Well, that's why they got something called pine sol bleach.
This is not usually something that is transmitted person to person, although this particular outbreak, we are concerned because the one situation in which there has been person-to-person transmission of hantavirus involves a form of hantavirus, the Andes virus, that is transmitted in Argentina and Chile. And remember, this ship was coming from Argentina. So one theory is that this just was being transmitted by rodents and their droppings or aerosolized urine. But another possibility is also person-to-person transmission.
What are the symptoms?
So as Tom was describing, people can develop lung failure, heart failure, kidney failure. A very severe viral pneumonia is very often how this manifests.
So people are watching, they might have a cruise coming up, and we live in a city where there are mice and rats everywhere. Are people who want to go on a cruise, or you and I, at risk for exposure to hantavirus?
Well, I want to emphasize, first of all, this is not going to be the next pandemic. I know a lot of people are still traumatized from the experience we went through with COVID. Even if it is the airborne form of the form that's transmitted person to person, it's not airborne in the way that COVID is. It really does require very prolonged, close contact with somebody else. We do recommend that people, if you are going to be cleaning up rat droppings or other kinds of things like that, that you use gloves, that you use a respirator, that you use watered down bleach so that you're not kicking it up into the air. But this is a geographically localized kind of infection. In the United States, we do see hantavirus, fewer than 900 cases in the past 30 years, and largely localized in the Four Corners area.
Anything else you think we should take away from this?
Just be careful, you know, when you're dealing with any kind of wild animal, bodily fluids, wastes in general. I think that's a good piece of advice. But do I think we're going to have a hantavirus outbreak here in New York City? Despite all the rats? No.
Okay. The reality check, Dr. Slingounder. Thank you.
At least 5 U.S. states are now monitoring passengers who were on that cruise ship in the center of the deadly hantavirus outbreak. And those passengers have since returned home, but 150 others are still on board as the ship makes its way towards Spain's Canary Islands. Joining me now is Dr. Monica Gandhi, professor of medicine and infectious diseases at UCSF. Dr. Gandhi, great to be with you. The World Health Organization was adamant this is not COVID. But I got to admit, a lot of us have a little PTSD because it's following a similar story. We've seen this movie before. It all started with the cruise ship. Explain why hantavirus is not COVID.
Okay, hantavirus is definitely not COVID. So essentially, COVID is very readily spread by respiratory droplets. It's a highly contagious infection. Hantavirus is what's called RNA virus that is really from usually exposure to rodents like rats. That can, by the way, hide out in a cruise ship, and there are droppings around. No one noticed it, urine, and that's usually the main risk of exposure is from rats. Now, what's happened in this particular cruise ship is it's true. There were 3 passengers, unfortunately, who got hantavirus and have died as a result. There are 8 with a likely hantavirus, and they were from all over. 1 is in Switzerland. But importantly, you need very close human-to-human contact to get it from a human. Now, usually it's spread from rats, but there is a strain called the Andes strain that can be passed with close contact from human to human. And it does look like this particular hantavirus strain is the Andes strain.
Is there any concern, though, Dr. Gandhi, that this strain could evolve much like we saw with other viruses and become even more contagious, that maybe you don't have to have super close contact with an individual to pass it on? Is there some concern it could mutate?
Likely not. So the way that we think of respiratory viruses, influenza, of course, that caused the 1918 pandemic. Coronavirus, we've all become super familiar that that's what caused the SARS-CoV-2 or COVID outbreak. But hantavirus is actually a virus that causes pulmonary symptoms, but it often causes kidney symptoms. It gets into the bloodstream. And by getting into the bloodstream, unfortunately, it causes what's called hemorrhagic fever. It has a long incubation period. You can get very sick, fevers, chills, really severe pulmonary symptoms. That's likely what unfortunately led to the deaths in these 3 individuals, and shock. It's really different than coronavirus, which is mainly a respiratory infection. So we never seen an example of this kind of animal spread, rat virus, really from rats and rodents, going into some sort of epidemic or pandemic potential. And the main thing is that cruise ships need to clean their ships.
Okay. Well, interesting you say that, because passengers have been let off the ship. Given that they believe this virus is potentially spreading between close contact, does that concern you that these passengers were let off to go to home?
Yes, that concerns me, because I've been thinking about kind of breakdown in public health lately, with TB outbreaks and with Legionella outbreaks. I don't think we're in the best place with our public health selves. And what I mean by that is hantavirus is such a serious infection that the minute this was understood that there's hantavirus on this ship, you really want to isolate the ship. You want to make sure that everyone is tested before they get off. You can test by antibodies, or you can even do a PCR test, sequence the blood before they get off the ship. Remember the Princess Cruise, what you just referred to with COVID. People did not get off that ship. There was massive isolation and quarantine if there was exposure. With the word quarantine comes from 40 days. The ship had to be waiting out in the Italy port before it could come in, because you need a long period to make sure people don't get sick. So yes, I think there should have been better contact tracing and not allowing people to kind of disperse. Now they're trying to track everyone down.
That's right. And the various health departments have basically said to these individuals, keep monitoring us, but call us when you start to have symptoms. So you said it's a long incubation period. Are you contagious during that whole time, or are you only contagious once you start having symptoms?
So that's a very good question. So the incubation period can be up to 20 days. And the first 10 days after you've been exposed, you can be contagious before you get symptoms and right after you get symptoms. So You're right that you may not know. Now, again, though, the difference is it's close human to human contact. As long as someone's isolated from other people in the home, which everyone should do if they were on the cruise ship, they're not going to spread it in the air, spread it through the air conditioning, have it go all over the house. It's really close human to human contact. And it's also pretty hard to get from human to human. That's why it's not going to be the pandemic potential, but we got to track down everyone that was on this cruise ship. Absolutely. The minute they have symptoms, test them. And in an ideal world, they wouldn't have been allowed off the cruise ship unless we had tested all of them.
Do we have the capability, though, to really track individuals? Is this what we did when coronavirus first came out? I mean, all these different countries and states, they have different rules when it comes to access to medical information, right?
Yes. I mean, I think one tragedy that I have to mention now is that the US withdrew from the World Health Organization the day this administration took office on January 20th, 2025. It is a complete tragedy because the WHO is very important for epidemic surveillance. They are the ones that put together all the data from different countries and tell us what's going on. The WHO is leading this response. So we should be in the WHO. I need to make that comment. And second is, in this particular case, everyone who was on that ship knows they were on that ship. Everyone has been contacted. They are going to be alerted and watched for symptoms. And I think we're going to be able to contain this out in the world, but it would have been better if we had contained it in the ship. And again, this is probably a breakdown that they should have not let people off the ship.
There's a lot of anxiety, though, now of not knowing who to believe, who to trust. If somebody is having that anxiety and maybe lives in one of these states, maybe knows somebody that was on that ship and they want to get the best information, are you saying the best way to get that is really from the WHO?
The WHO actually has a very good updated information about hantavirus, but to give credit, so does the CDC. And the CDC is also closely involved with the US-based people who are on the ship, because the CDC is our public health response. Now, the CDC can't follow everything they're supposed to be doing because they've also had cuts to them, but they are being very aggressive about the hantavirus case reporting and watching everyone who is on that ship. So I feel pretty comfortable that everyone's been alerted and that they are sitting, not going around anyone, and ensuring that they don't get sick within the incubation period.
We know there's been so many cuts statewide, nationwide, to health organizations. I'm curious, though, were there lessons learned during COVID that makes those departments more equipped to handle a potential other epidemic or pandemic?
Yes. I mean, I think actually what we learned during COVID is we didn't have the test capability right away with COVID. And it took us a long time to get tests, and people couldn't get access to tests. And we were pretty much saying, like, everyone stay in their houses. This is different. We immediately, when this hantavirus cruise ship, because of its international potential, the tests are available. It's actually a very easy antibody, and if need be, if someone's sick, we can get a test from the CDC to look at PCR. So the tests are available. They could contact everyone on the ship. People are all sitting at home, they should be, and not going out until we can ensure that they don't have symptoms within the period and they're being informed about what to do. So I feel comfortable about this particular public health response, but everything that you just said is true. The massive cuts to public health in this country and worldwide is going to cause the anxiety about new pandemics, and we need to not cut public health. It's too important.
Michael's in the building.
Dr. Gandhi, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Returning now to our top story, 5 U.S. states are tracking passengers returning from a cruise ship hit with a deadly outbreak of hantavirus. For more, let's bring in CBS News chief medical correspondent, Dr. John LaPook. And doctor, another physician actually came up to you today and said, do we need to be worried about this? I mean, what did you say?
Yeah, just this morning. And, you know, this is somebody with a lot of knowledge. And so what it said to me is, you know, people are worried about this. And I think when they hear the World Health Organization today say, well, the risk to the general public is low, it's kind of triggering, because they're thinking, well, is this going to, you know, is this going to be another pandemic? Is this going to be just like COVID? And there's a big difference. What I told her was, no, you don't have to be worried in general about flying. Remember that with the pandemic, COVID was caused by a virus we had never seen before, right? And we didn't know anything about it. This is a virus that we've known for 30 years. We do know how it's spread when it is spread. It's generally, you know, you get it from rodents, from droppings of saliva, from urine, and you inhale it. However, occasionally, and really not that often, it can go from person to person, and it generally has to be pretty close contact.
Okay, so that's this Andes strain
The
that we're
Andes strain,
hearing
right.
about, right? And
Right.
so
One of dozens of there are dozens of strains of hantavirus. There's only one that has been shown to go from person to person.
how do you define close contact?
That got us not.
You know what? The CDC, you really asked a good question.
Got
The
us.
CDC is going to be coming out with guidance about that, because when you think about a cruise ship, that's generally sort of like a little bit of, I don't want to call it a petri dish, but it's sort of a lab experiment for close contact, right? I know there's a whole business there. I'm not trying to like tear that down, but it is a place where people are generally interacting with each other. We know that the index case, you know, was a man who then probably infected his wife. You know, sadly, they both died. You're in close contact with people. The question is what is close contact? And generally, it has to be sexual contact or people who are very close with each other, and not generally sort of people across the room. We remember with COVID, we found out that if you're in a room, we initially said 5 feet. If you're in a room that's not well ventilated, the virus can sort of aerosolize and go across the room like cigarette smoke can. So if you're in a room with 20 feet away, somebody smoking, you can smell it. That is not felt to be the case here. But we always have to have an asterisk here. We're at the beginning of this. You have to have humility. We're going to always end by saying, this is what we know now. And if something changes, we're going to let people know.
Are there any cases not associated with the cruise ship?
Not right now, no.
Okay.
They're all associated with the cruise ship
I was the last.
Yes, it's associated directly. So there were people who were passengers on a plane where the person who was on the cruise who got sick subsequently, developed full-blown disease. And now the question is, were they close enough on the plane to get infected? So yes, it's not directly from the cruise ship, but I just should say for the general public, the risk right now is felt to be low. You had to have been part of that, in that bunch of people who were sort of either directly or indirectly related to what happened on the cruise ship. And it's a great example of why you have to have cooperation between, the World Health Organization, the CDC, our own state departments involved, local health departments are involved, because you're trying to interrupt the chain of transmission. And that means like a lot of boots on the ground, finding out, who went where, when did they go. You have a long incubation period of 6 weeks around. So that means somebody could have gotten infected on the ship and then left the ship. And now they're somewhere else. You don't know where they are, how long. Within the next day, I'm told by a source that knows of things that's going on at the CDC, that within the next day, you're going to see public guidance on when somebody has been sort of a contact. Not that they have it, for sure, they're in contact. What should they do? So stay tuned for that.
Looking out for that. Thank you, Dr. John LaPook. Appreciate your time.
All right. So now I'm going to get to the tornadoes.
A major situation unfolded across Mississippi Wednesday evening. Severe storms ripping across the state, triggering 2 confirmed tornadoes. You can see downed trees. They are blocking the road. This video taken right after the storms went through Brookhaven. A tornado emergency was issued for several counties as the tornadoes went across the state. Now, Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves made this post on X, working with local emergency officials and crews responding to what happened. An intense situation. The warnings were there. There was a lot of communication ahead of time, but man, does not make the situation any easier. As we back up radar to show you how this all unfolded, the problem was the high chance for supercell development, and that's exactly what we saw across Mississippi. These discrete thunderstorms were able to capitalize on an environment that was very unstable, leading to the formation of tornadoes, but also very large hailstones. The hail reports out of Alabama after these storms went through Mississippi showed the strength and power. Here's a look at the warning map. Once you start to see the red boxes go to bright pink, that's when we had confirmations of a very large tornado on the ground. In fact, we had 2. The tornado emergencies continued to be issued as the tornadoes crossed Interstate 55. Here's the timeline here. So we're talking about approaching sunset and post-sunset for some of the counties located farther off to the east. Franklin County this morning is more than 30% without power. So this is going to be one of the spots that it takes longer for the power to be restored, because it truly is a rebuild situation in some of these locations, not just simply fixing the problem. Now, as we take a look at this morning, we still have vigorous thunderstorms associated with this cold front, but it's going to become a lot more expansive as we go into this afternoon. As we take a look at the recap from yesterday, just makes you take that pause, right? We have confirmed tornadoes across multiple spots in Mississippi, and then you get the damage reports. Up to the north, we're tracking large hail from yesterday. In fact, look at this report of a 2.5, actually almost 3-inch hailstone out of Tucker. So very impressive to see the large hail in conjunction with the powerful tornadoes as well. Rain, an element that is sometimes missed, and just as important, we had multiple swaths of the South that picked up more than 5-6 inches of rain, which led to flash flooding. And so you really do have to look at every mode of severe weather and how it's going to be impacting folks. It did lead to flooding. We have confirmations of flooding that occurred between Interstate 55 and Interstate 59. So unfortunately, a really tough day that we're coming off of and moving into another day where severe weather is still possible across the South.
Spirit of the ancestors.
That's where we have Fox Weather meteorologist, our correspondent, Brandy Cable. She's joining us live on the ground in Bogue, Chitto, Mississippi now. So, Brandy, I mean, what's the latest coming from the ground? You've been able to talk to people that live in the mobile home park, even the sheriff earlier for Lincoln County.
I can't do it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it's getting pretty active out here. You can hear chainsaws. There are first responders on site. in terms of the sheriff's office, but also volunteers are starting to come in and provide help. Some folks bringing in food for people. This is another example of a home that was damaged last night. This tornado coming through around 8 p.m. There was a tornado emergency that was put out saying that this is the highest level of an emergency ahead of an event coming into people's neighborhoods and such. So we know just over 200 homes estimated to be damaged, but we're still waiting on that official report as damage assessments are still being done. Also, the National Weather Service, they're out as well doing their assessments, trying to see how many tornadoes and how strong as well. But I want to introduce you guys to a resident. This is Demel Burns. This is where he lived. Thank you for, just speaking with us. I understand you guys have a lot going on, trying to, save what you can. But can you share with our viewers what last night was like for you? I know it was you and your daughter that was here as everything happened.
Last night almost made me get emotional.
I understand.
It was scary. All I know is I got home. I was home from work for about 5 minutes, and my daughter was sitting at the table eating her dinner, and I heard the high wind. I heard the roar sound like a train, and I told her, "Come on, let's go to the closet." And when I got in the closet, it wasn't even 5 seconds later, the tornado hit our home, and
I know it's a lot, just thinking through those moments again.
All we
Take
could
your
do
time.
is pray.
Yeah.
All we could do is pray, and we kept praying until it was over. We felt the trailer lift up.
Yeah.
I didn't know where we were or what was going on. I knew what was going on, but I didn't know if we was in it, or I didn't know the degree of anything. I just know I could feel the trailer steady moving, steady. I didn't know if we was in the sky or what. I just know it was scary, and you could hear the winds, and I could hear debris hitting the trailer, and I covered my girl.
Well, I'm
and
glad
we came out of
okay.
home. We came out of home.
Y'all
So as emotional as I may get, I know I can regain anything I had, but we actually lost everything in the storm, and I've never been through nothing quite like this before, and I just thank God I'm still here.
Yes, sir. And I mean, just taking a look at it, and just for perspective, guys, where you see a lot of the damage on this far end, that's where you guys were having dinner. So you made a life-saving call at, the last minute, where they were taking shelter, is where you can still see some of the walls, standing. At least it's on the other side, you said.
The closet, actually, everything started caving in and shifting down, and leaned over, stuff started flying, but the ceiling didn't buckle, the walls didn't fold. But when I crawled out, everything else was gone. So
I'm so sorry. And today I was talking to you before we went live, and you have family members that are here, or friends, friends. What does it mean to at least have them show up for you during this time?
It means a lot to know that I got people.
Okay. Take your time. It's okay. Yes, family, friends that are.
It means a lot to me to know I got people that care and love us, to come out and help, try to salvage what we can, and just be there for me any way that they can be in. I hate to be an emotional guy like this, but just thinking about everything and how I'm still here, it could have turned out a different way. And like you say, for me to have family and friends right here helping me and with me through all of this, it means the world to me.
I understand that. I know you have help, but is there anything that you would like to put out there that you guys do need at this time?
I mean, everything. I mean, my truck is destroyed, home destroyed. I mean, all the way from I don't know, everything. All I really feel like I have is the clothes on my back. But I do know I'm going to be back on top again, as long as I thank him for allowing me to continue to breathe. As long as I'm breathing, I'm going to take care of me and my family. So back to the drawing board.
Yes, sir. Thank you for sharing that with us. I know that's not easy to do, but I really appreciate you sharing that perspective. And I know we've talked to a couple of organizations that are coming in saying they're trying to gather some supplies and bring some trucks in to help you guys. So I'm gonna wish you guys the best of luck. But I'm glad that y'all are okay.
Yes, that's the most important thing, and I'm glad we're okay too. And thank you.
Of course. Thank you, sir. I
You're
appreciate it.
I'm sorry I got emotional.
That's okay. That's all right. All right, guys, we're gonna send it back to you.
Oh, Brandy. It's gosh, and I don't know. He's walking away with his life, his daughter's life.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something just about the raw humanity that you sometimes hear, and it's overwhelming.
Just trying to relive those moments.
Just hear the
It's
pain in
tough.
his voice.
I can only imagine.
You see that mobile
and
home.
just for more perspective.
You wouldn't have survived in that thing.
Right. It's hard to believe. And, again, they took shelter, and believe it or not, that closet that he mentioned, it wasn't an interior closet. It was actually along an exterior wall. But again, they made it out okay, thankfully. There are some other residents I heard they were saying they were thrown midair from their home, landing on the ground. But again, they are here, they're walking, they're okay. So there's some miracles that happened here last night. Because if we can just pan around, it just looks like demolition, as though, someone came through and purposefully, demolished homes. But this is the work of a tornado, a very strong one. This is a mobile home. Mobile home park, I should say. There were just over 20 to 30 homes that were here. And there are maybe there's less than 10 of them that are still standing. I will say there's one building that looks mostly untouched, and it's kind of ironic because that building, it appears to be a business, and it has supplies for mobile homes. So I find that just very ironic. That's the one that looks to be mostly untouched. But we'll be providing you guys more insight as to what happened here. Again, the National Weather Service, they said they are on the ground. We should have a report from them, a preliminary report around 6 p.m. Central Time as well. So what they think what may have happened in terms of how many tornadoes and the strength as well. But again, I think the most impactful thing is just hearing from the residents, like Demel, learning what they went through at around 8 o'clock last night, dark outside. It's raining, and he and his daughter just trying to take shelter. And he said his wife, she was at work. His daughter was down the way. There was a school. He said she was there at a banquet hall, and she was okay. That school, I passed it, looked to be just fine.
Yeah,
can't imagine being separated from your family at a moment like that.
Demel Burns, thank you for grabbing him, Brandy. I think that it speaks to how dangerous these storms can be, how quickly life changes. But the gratitude that man was able to convey on air, we really appreciate it, and wish him and all the residents of Bogue, Chitto the best of luck. Thank you, Brandy Campbell, for us in Bogue, Chitto, Mississippi.
Brandy. Bogue, Chitto. All right. Now we're getting pressed for time, so I'm gonna move on. But shout out to that brother for doing that interview, and shout out to I think she's a tether for interviewing him. The Klingon. Friend, Lady Che called that sister Klingon.
She got the makings of a Klingon. She's just one step or two away from the full makeup.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't my fault, cuz. You see that forehead? and so that ain't my fault, cuz. That's just the way it looks. You hear me? And I just one step for fucking. Don't hate on me because I said that. I don't think that bad. That's all for it, man. They let it just rock all the way back. Jesus Christ, man. She could have did the sister better. What's up with a bang?
Bang.
You know what I mean? A hat, maybe. Every class. She's out there being empathetic, full forehead out, weird ass sewing. Cheap weave. Come on, security. Oh, judge me for things you look like she did.
That's why you're over there busted up. Yep. That's why.
Am I wrong? I ain't wrong. Y'all like a lit job every day. A piece of a forehead. Not legally practicing. Easily. The whole basketball palm. That was wide too, like a super intelligent walnut. No, like there's like, hey, you want to Star Trek The Next Generation?
No, he was here. He's just having connection issues. He should be back. He was here. But his Wi-Fi's acting up, so he's been in and out. But he should be back. All right, Lady Che, since we pressed for time now.
Why?
Because we have stuff to do, Lady Che. Yes, we do. We have to do my hair. We gotta go. We gotta go meet with Heather Watson.
No, we don't.
I have a doctor's appointment.
Yes, you do. But no, we don't.
So yeah, we have to do all that.
No,
So moving along, we got Black legislators call out Republicans targeting Black voters with redrawn maps. So Undisputed Bull with Dr. Rashad Ritchie is going to give us an update on that.
Black legislators are fighting back as the GOP is rushing to redraw these district maps. And before we really get into the story, let's take a look first at some examples of what is happening right now across the country.
This is the epitome of playing in American people's faces.
Yeah.
And also Floridians' faces. Because it's crazy that Fox News got the maps before the elected body got the maps.
They are.
We should all be upset with the governor's office. Yes, he can draw the maps, but it's crazy and wild that the governor's office sent the maps to the news station before they even brought it to us. Y'all know what that means? He has no respect for us.
I never thought in my lifetime that I'll be standing in the body surrounded by my colleagues who are going to erase the vote of my city and Black people in Memphis. My constituents are angry right now. And just 48 hours after this Supreme Court decision, you all decided that you're going to slice Black voters in Memphis. I need you to know this will be one of the most racist actions taken in the history of modern history of this legislature that you are participating in this week. Intentionally breaking state law to take my community's vote is downright disgusting and offensive.
Right now, my brother, Allison, Lauren are being arrested by the state troopers because they refused to move when Cameron Sexton said so. He cleared the gallery for no clear reason. Even people on the House floor did not understand why. And now all these troopers and folks are actually arresting them and taking them down to booking.
I'm trying to catch up here. I may not be as smart as some of the rest of us. So I'm just going to ask some really simple questions. So Memphis is a predominantly African-American city, right? Is that correct?
Leader Lambert.
I'm not privy to those demographics. I don't know.
President.
If this body believes that Memphis should not have the right to elect representation reflective of its own community, then perhaps the legislature should explain why Memphis should continue to be part of the state of Tennessee. A government that benefits from the people while weakening their political power creates the appearance of representation without self-determination.
Oh my God.
Don't hide behind the maps. And if that is the case, let me make it easier for you. Let Memphis secede from the state of Tennessee. You don't have to redraw maps when you let us out.
This is not a game. This is real life. And I have to fight as if my life depends on it.
Oh my God.
You know, laws are in place. They had to put these protections and laws in place because white men throughout history have shown that they will do the wrong thing. And look where we are now.
That part is true.
So a week after the Supreme Court's gutting of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, Republican state legislators in former slave states in the South have quickly moved to pass redrawn congressional maps targeting districts composed of majority Black and brown communities, because why wouldn't they? If you can't win based on your policies, you have to try and do some other things to get the outcomes that you're looking for. And while this outcome is almost inevitable in these states where the Republicans hold strong majorities, Black Democratic state legislators are not going to take any of this lying down. They're not going to go quietly into this good night. They're fighting back, and that is more than what they should do. That's more than what we're typically seeing from the Democrats who are in our Congress right now. So some congressional seats are being held by people like Hank Johnson, James Clyburn, Maxwell Frost, and a few others that you can see there on the screen. Those seats are now at risk. So we might not see them anymore in Congress, not because their constituents no longer want them as their representatives, but because the maps are getting redrawn, and it's shameless. It really is just a shameless effort being made by Republicans right now. So let's look at the states. Let's see what's happening where. In Alabama, this is what they're doing in Alabama, okay? Republican state senators ran through a bill to advance redistricting while tornado sirens blared, and the chamber was actually being evacuated as the building was flooding and the live stream went dark. You can see the flooding in the picture there, and that is when they decided to rush through all these shenanigans. Over in Tennessee, Republicans Tim Rudd and Mary Littleton were caught on video laughing about stripping majority Black Memphis of power as Todd Warner walked in wearing a Trump flag as a cape. That is what they're doing. They're still, after 10 years of Trump with his historically low approval rating, they are still walking around wearing Trump flags on their backs. That is embarrassing. You know, like wearing another man's name on your back is one thing, but Donald Trump, one of the least popular presidents in history, that's got to be embarrassing for them. And over in Louisiana, there's more shenanigans going on down there. Republican Governor Jeff Landry, he canceled the U.S. House races Thursday, a day after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled Louisiana's House district map unconstitutional. Republican Secretary of State Nancy Landry, who is not related to the governor, by the way, has said votes cast in Louisiana's U.S. House races won't be counted. But that didn't deter several early voters from picking a House candidate on their ballot anyway. And mail-in ballots with U.S. races listed had already been sent out by the time the governor declared the election was off. Nancy Landry's office also didn't have enough notice to remove the affected candidates' names from the ballots before in-person voting started. Landry and other Republican officials insist the Supreme Court decision from Wednesday is so sweeping in nature that it demands the aggressive action of calling off an election, even when absentee voting was already underway. But funny enough, you know, the Black people, these Black communities, they're not the actual victims. Right now, one of the chief architects of everything that we're seeing now is complaining that he's being criticized for the fallout. Let's see that.
Chief Justice John Roberts is speaking out amid growing public backlash to the Supreme Court and its decision-making, defending the court from criticism coming from both sides of the aisle. At a conference for judges and lawyers in Pennsylvania, Roberts said of the public, quote, "I think they view us as purely political actors, which I don't think is an accurate understanding of what we do."
He hires a young 26-year-old John Roberts to work in his Justice Department. John Roberts, as a 26-year-old young employee in the Reagan Justice Department, 16 years after, the following year, 1981, starts writing the plan for the Justice Department to kill the Voting Rights Act. That was it was his first big project. It's been his life's mission. He thought the Voting Rights Act had played its course and was no longer needed in 1981.
John Roberts is the biggest enemy towards Black people that this court has seen since Chief Justice Roger Taney, who authored the Dred Scott decision. Now, white media generally doesn't talk about him like that because he's a genteel man. You know, he's not running around letting his flag fly like Sam Alito. But make no mistake, whenever Black people are asking to have equal representation of this in this country, John Roberts is the man standing at the door telling us no.
At the door.
Well, also over on MS Now, Rachel Maddow, she had a lot to say. She's giving us all a call to action. Let's hear that.
War on Black Americans that is being waged by this president and this Republican Party is one of the only things they have put their mind to in this past year that they've actually done pretty well at. A comprehensive attack on Black public officials and Black public power. A comprehensive attack on Black public officials in the federal government, Black employees in the federal government, Black representatives in Congress.
Exactly.
And now all around the country, where everywhere Republicans are in charge, they are scrambling to make sure that Black public officials can no longer hold office. But big picture here, we are in the middle of something really radical in this country. Not just to get rid of our constitutional republic, to replace our form of government with something else, but to get rid of the multiracial democracy.
She said constitutional republic. Yeah, that's what it is. It is a constitutional republic. It's not a democracy. It's not. What are you talking about, Rachel Maddow?
Democracy that our Constitution is supposed to protect. It is a war on Black America.
When hasn't it been a war on Black America? Like, what the fuck? When hasn't it been? Somebody please let me know in the chat. When hasn't it been a war on us? Right. Exactly, got us, Dobby. Shut up, Joel. Reed. Oh, God.
The fight to save it is looking like it's going to be the fight of all of our lives.
No.
Elliot, I want to get your thoughts on this. When we see things like this play out, the American people are often caught off guard, but this has been a very deliberate thing that, as a lot of those commentators pointed out, this has been in the works for decades. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think it is deliberate. And I also think it just all goes back to this idea that, hey, congratulations, we solved racism. And so anything that was put in place to prevent racism is obviously just pure bureaucracy, and we should gut it and get rid of it. And they have this sort of idea. I think you even heard the guy say that, well, I don't know the demographics of the place I'm actually representing. And that sounds to me a lot like, I don't see color. You know, I don't even know, like this sort of feigned naivete about their own constituents is sort of, I think it plays into the same idea that there is no racism anymore. We don't have to worry about it. And as you said, they can't win on policy. So the next best thing is to take out a map and recarve just so that the people who might
win on policy, you don't have no policy. You Democrats have no policy.
Speak against them are silenced. So unfortunately for them, racism is still around. And I think that when American people see this, hopefully they can put two and two together. And it should be a lot simpler than this. Like, I don't know why they have to be this extreme with it, except to say that they're racist. So, but on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, this whole gerrymandering back and forth thing, I don't know how it ends well, but at the same time, I don't know what Democrats do when they're seeing this kind of brazen racism and this kind of brazen gerrymandering happening all the time.
And what's so frustrating about this entire thing is the fact that the civil rights movement of the 1960s was so iconic. Every child goes to school and you learn about the civil rights movement. I was a child in the 90s. And so the civil rights movement was just a couple of decades before I was learning about all of it. Martin Luther King, all these wonderful people who did so much for this country and for Black people and other minority groups in this country. And when you're a kid, you're like, that was so long ago. You know, I can't believe people were treated that way back then. And I'm in this class full of all these various different ethnicities. Maybe like half of my class was Black at that point. And I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And what I noticed as I got older, obviously, is, you know, the racism is still there. Right? They just tell you it's not because they don't want to take accountability for it. And if they don't have to take accountability for it, they never have to do the inner work to actually understand how racist this country still is, how racist so many of the policies that we still live under still are, and how people are suffering at very inequitable rates, right? Because of these policies that had been in place from the Jim Crow era, from even the slavery era. Those things are still governing this country, and the people who benefit
And who brought us those policies?
Who did it? They did it.
Who did that? The Dixiecrats, the Democrats. Those are their policies.
I would be like, oh man. You're right.
Off of those systems are still benefiting off of it today. And anytime minority groups, especially Black people, start to get any kind of leg up in any situation, and you can look at Memphis as a great example of that, then what needs to happen is they need to be cut right back down, even if that means undoing nearly 100 years of progress that this country has made. If you just keep pretending that a problem's not a problem, the problem doesn't go away. It just gets tamped down. And I think even the Trump era, just the fact that he got elected the way he did following Obama's presidency is, case in point of that, right? Because before, and I some people might not remember this, but before Trump became president, before we were used to hearing this kind of rhetoric, nobody would say like these blatantly racist things that are so common in our world today. That was not the case before Trump became president. And he was the one who really did start saying a lot of things out loud that other people were not willing to say out loud. The whole birther issue was maybe the start of that. Any final thoughts before we move on to our next story, Elliot?
I mean, just to your point, I also grew up as a 90s kid, and similar experience of you learn about these stories and you see the photos and they're in black and white, and it gives you this impression that that is a bygone era. And it's clearly not. And if I had like some aluminum foil around me, I would make a little hat on my head, because it does seem like that is almost by design, that they, within the education system, there's a concerted effort to sort of paint the entire trajectory of this nation in this sort of rose-tinted way, and never even question or think that these problems might still be ongoing. So I do wonder sometimes how much that's a conspiracy and how much that's just what exactly they did.
Yeah, and I think one good thing that is coming out of this era, this entire era, including, the Trump era, if you want to call it that, is that people are starting to understand how much they were missing from their public school education, and they're starting to look into things a little bit deeper than they otherwise might have. So that's a good thing.
Oh, Lord. Well, shit. All right, now we're going to move on.
Like, they never knew it's racist.
Well, what are your thoughts, Lady Che, first?
Fucking bullshit. Like they didn't know. Like, nobody's ever, like, over the last, 60, 70 years?
Yeah.
Like, they didn't know they're still racist?
Right. Right. It's only racism when Trump's in
All
office.
the unhoused shit.
It's never racism when Biden's in office. It's never racism when old Sambo's in office.
Okay, how does it look with it?
It's never racism when Clinton's in office. It's only racism when Reagan's in office. It's only racism when George Bush Senior's in office. It's only racism when George Bush Jr.'s in office. It's only racism when Trump's in office.
Including all the Democrats, all complicit to this shit. Now you want to be like, we're not going back. Well, apparently you're either going back or you're getting fired.
Yeah, not too long. Yeah.
Getting replaced by a seat, and that's just the way. That's the way of it. Because they're gonna act like now it's a thing. Now it's a thing. It's not, and whatever they do, it's not gonna be beneficial to us.
Right.
It's not. No, they're not even. They don't even have a plan. Like,
no.
They're just, it's like filler. There's no, like, you would think that they would have learned a lesson and come up with some policies that were like tangible or whatever.
Yeah.
Right now, I think they're only thinking about themselves and not the constituents. You see how the shit.
Oh, that's good. Now I'm glad you got the notification.
They're on tirades right now. They're only really thinking about themselves and whether or not they're gonna be able to keep a seat or not. They're not really caring about the constituents.
Nope.
The whole time they've been talking about themselves. All that performative arts and shit. That was for them to, so they could, like, keep their seat or not. Not let the cheating happen with the map, right?
Yeah.
They don't care about the constituents.
When Nabi asked when you're gonna go live again.
Later on
this evening, she said. I guess after Blackout for Nowhere.
Yeah, later on this evening. It was on really late, but I'll be here at the Black House.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to Kalia Ali, Ali's former wife, cried for 3 days straight over Sam Cooke getting killed at the motel. The change is gonna come.
Yeah. Here's one little tip over here.
Mm-hmm.
Ali knew Sam Cooke?
No, knew him real well. They used to play music all the time. Sam was a very nice man. I'm so sad that he got killed by a jealous woman.
Oh,
I used to worry about I used to always worry about Ali going into somebody like that. You know what I mean?
What was Ali's reaction when he got killed?
Oh yeah, he cried like a baby. He cried. He cried, I think, 3 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Sam were friends way before he met me, you know. So that was the most saddest thing. And he was such a wonderful man. He was a very clean man. My mother said she sung with him on a porch in Chicago once. My mother met Sam Cooke because my mother was a singer, so they used to sit on the porch in Chicago and sing songs. My mother has a history of singing. She was a gospel singer, you know. So yeah, I think I saw him cry more with Sam Cooke than I've seen him cry with anybody. Yeah.
So unfortunate. What was he doing at that motel? That motel's in a bad area, right?
Hotel in the hood.
Right.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Jealous woman. But we heard about that on the papers. It was in the papers. Then he went to California.
That's what happened.
Funeral and everything. Yeah.
He was going after.
Yeah. Very sad. He was a good man. I mean, we used to see him on the Ed Sullivan and Dick Clark show. Ed Sullivan is Dick Clark. Yeah. I met, we went to, there was a roast. Dean Martin roasted Ali once. That's where I met Nipsey Russell. He was a great comedian. Nipsey Russell, Moms Mabley, very nice people. And I met Bobby Darin. That's when the little white boys used to wear those little mohair skinny pantsuits back in the day. But they were gentlemen back in those days. They were clean and honorable and respectful.
Mm-hmm.
I must say that most of the entertainments were friendly like that.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting Jimi Hendrix was amazing.
Yeah.
He was amazing. Yes, sir. Woodstock, 1989.
Mm.
They flew me and Ali in a helicopter on stage where Jimi Hendrix was playing.
Wow.
I was only 18 years old. I was only 18. I was married though. I was 18. He was very wise. He was like he was speaking like he was before his time or something. But he was very civil.
Sound better now?
Yeah. Mr. Ganja Man. Matter of fact, when Ali and I visited Jamaica, Michael Manley was the prime minister, and Michael Manley took us over to Bob Marley's house. We was there for 3 days, me and Ali and the Bob Marleys and the boys. And there was this one boy that was play ball, and he would always steal the ball from the kids, and the kids would steal the ball from him. And I just never knew which one of the boy until 2 months ago. I was at Art Basel here in Florida, Miami, and I met Rohan Marley. And he's one of Bob Marley's sons. I said, wait a minute. Then when I started talking about Bob Marley and the boy with the basketball, the little ball, he said, that was me. I was running behind you all the time, and you would always get me the ball, and it was him. But I met him when he was a little boy. And he said, oh, yeah, I remember. That was you I was running to. I said, yes, I was. And he owns a coffee company now. He has Rohan has this amazing coffee. Yeah. Yeah. And then we start talking about the days and everything, then memories will come out. And then now I found out who the boy was. Before I couldn't remember who the boy was. I knew it was one of his sons. But then I found out Rohan was the little boy he kept running and I would get the ball for. Isn't it amazing when you have lived your life this time and then you can reminisce? And he said, you remember that? I said, yes. I said, you remember me with the ball, right? He said, yeah. He said, I didn't know it was you. Now I know it's Muhammad Ali's wife, right? So now I know.
Wow, amazing story. So Ali, you knew Bob Marley.
Oh yeah, we met him. He was a very nice man, very intelligent. I met his family and everything. He talked about life. He talked about people. He talked about the things that he went through, and he talked about how he admired Ali, what he did, and we sat there all night talking about issues the way we're talking about issues right now.
When you look at all the fights that Ali had, what's a fight that affected him badly?
Joe Frazier, because that played on him really bad because I was laying in the bed and I just happened to get up. And he took his fist and hit the pillow. You can't take this from me. You can't. I said, I was just laying there. Man, what's the matter with you? Better wake up. I didn't want to sleep on him no more because they played on him really bad. If I had stayed in that bed, he would have hit me because he said, you can't take this with me. And he was saying it all out loud and everything. And he was asleep.
Yeah.
He was asleep. That played on him bad. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Joe Frazier, he'll never forget that. I think that was the worst things that ever happened. But you know what? You know what my son told me? My son, he came and told me this. He said, Mommy, you know what I asked Daddy? I said, what did you ask your daddy? You ain't gonna believe what he told me. I said, what did he say? He said, I asked him who was the person that you'll never fight again, ever. And he said, your mama. I said, what? He said, yeah. He said, your mama. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because he came home one night, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I knew somebody was in the house. I said, maybe it's Ali, maybe not, but he didn't say anything. And I said, whatever it is, it's in that hallway near the garage. So I said, I'm just going to take myself and just put my back to the hallway. Whatever it is, it's got to come out, right? And Ali, I didn't know who it was at first. Ali grabbed me like this, and I just went down and flipped him over and got ready to bash him like that. And I go, whoa. He said, what happened? He said, how'd you flip me like that? What'd you do? What? And then he called me all kind of B words. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. He said, whoa. And then he went and called Howard Cosell. He said, Howard Cosell, I married a woman that can kick my ass. I said, you're supposed to be telling people. You're supposed to be calling people, telling people that. And he never, ever carried a key to the house since that night, ever. Never carried a key to the house. I said, but man, you're supposed to walk up on you. I ain't gonna walk up on you no more. He said, that karate thing is for real, huh? I said, yeah. I said, yeah. I didn't like telling him about it and nothing like that because he's a challenger. He will challenge you. And I don't want the challenge. But he never carried a key to the house since.
Never carried a key again, huh?
Never again. My honey, I'm coming home. Open the door. We've had our moments. We've had really funny moments, more funny moments than anything. And I took him to Hershey's amusement park and put him on a roller coaster. He cried like a baby. put her on that roller coaster. He said, oh! He said, my wife is crazy. She's crazy. I ain't getting on that again. And yeah. And we went to a movie in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And everybody was talking about the movie The Exorcist, right?
Yeah.
And I was saying, man, you better be careful, man. You know, something's gonna happen. He was trying to scare everybody before the movie because I wouldn't tell him when it was gonna happen. And when the lady, when she spilled the split pea soup out,
Yeah.
Ali hit the ground. He hit the ground in the theater. He was at the whoa, that's scary. Yes, you were scared. No, I wasn't scared. I saw it coming. I said, no, you did. You was on the floor. So we've had our moments. We have some good moments, you know. You can't get mad at him too long because he'll make you laugh. He'll make you laugh. Yeah, yeah. So we had some really good times. And when we divorced, we used to sit and laugh at those times. And that's the only time that I would get him to talk. And he couldn't talk good. I said, Miss, what's wrong with you, man? How come you ain't talking, man? Because I didn't know what was going wrong with him. Everybody saying he was sick and all that. I didn't keep up with it. I didn't know what was going on. And he said, he couldn't talk. I said, man, what, man? I said, look, if you don't start talking, man, I'm walking away. No. He said, I said, why are you doing that to people? I'm just trying to get the sympathy of the people. I said, man, you ain't got to get sympathy to nobody, man. But then it got worse.
Yeah.
It got really worse. Yeah. And then we start shaking. I didn't like seeing him like that at all. I said, oh man, this is not good. You know? So so yeah, I'm just glad that because he called me, he said, guess what? I said, what? I said, I'm going to the Olympics. I said, what you gonna do? Run? He said, no, I'm gonna light the fire. I said, don't get up there and get barbecued, okay? And we laughed about that, yeah. But during this bad days, you know, it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. So.
All right, what are your thoughts on that one?
You know, it's reminiscing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's every year. It's every year.
So now she gonna get on Don King. She said Don King was a pimp and a drug dealer who lived a wild life.
How do you personally feel about Don King?
You know what? Don King's about making money. Okay. All trainers, they fall into this trap. They steal money from the fighters. They do it all the time because they're in that position to do that. But you have some trainers that will not do that to it's just who that person is. But I can't say too much bad about Don King. That's what fighters do. But this is the thing. When I learned about Don King, I'm the only friend he ever had because I seen this man was a dope dealer, pimp, player, drug dealer. He did it all. He set foot on that camp and learned how to be a promoter and took all that nasty stuff that he did and that wild life that he lived in, turned his life around. You hear me? And I have to give that man credit for pulling himself out of that wild world. And that kind of life was a bad life. But he learned to do it legally.
Mm-hmm.
He could be crook legally, but he got out of the madness. He got out of the pimping. He got out of the, the drug dealing. He got out of all of that. I have to take my hat off for a man who will stand up. I mean, he might not be a perfect person, but he got out of the bad life and turned his whole life around. And I have to take that off. I've always respected Don King for that. And he is my friend today. And when I came down here and I moved to Deerfield Beach, I didn't know I was moving right into Don King territory. I had no clue, but I was glad because I respect the way he built his empire. You know, nobody's perfect, but you know. And then like Angelo Dundee trained Cassius Clay. Any trainer could have took Cassius Clay and do it like other fighters, turn him into a beluga and just make money off him, and then he destroys his career. But Muhammad was smart enough and was blessed enough to be able to get a man who looked out for his career. And that's what a lot of these young fighters have to pray on. You got to pray to God to give you a good person that don't turn you into a beluga and just get beat up and get your whole life destroyed, because they can destroy your world. So you have to pray on everything that you want in life and make sure God is on your side and you have the right people behind you, because that's what made Muhammad Ali a good fighter. He started in a racist state, Louisville, Kentucky, and he lost this. Somebody stole his bike. This man, this white Caucasian named Joe Martin, Officer Joe Martin, said, "Look, you can go after that guy, but do you know how to fight?" And when he said that to him, when I met Mr. Joe Martin, I thanked him for leading Clay to a gym so he could learn how to fight first. The rest is history. So it wasn't everybody over there racism over there. Joe Martin looked out for him, that's for sure.
But Don King setting up that Ali and Larry Holmes fight, even that Burbick fight, I ain't like that.
Look, man, I didn't even go to it. I was against it. I didn't even go to it. I didn't, and he did it to his best friend, Jimmy Ellis. Did the same thing with him. He was his sparring partner before Larry Holmes. All sparring partners want to get a chance to beat the person that they train with, because they know what their weakness is. But they get greedy, and if they try you, all the fighter got to do is tell them no. But I'll leave. Like I say, ain't nobody perfect. You're gonna make a mistake. But I would never fight with a sparring partner, somebody I work with. No, never. Yeah.
You being Ali's wife and you being around, did you ever see him deal with racism or no?
No. He talked about it. You know what? One time we was going to Alabama, and it was like the last gas station for the next 100 miles, and it was like a little outhouse in a little tank, and they said the last gas station for 100 miles. And I said, we need some gas. And Ali said, I got to go to the bathroom. And there was an outhouse outside this little wood packed gas station, And people were sitting on the porch with coveralls and long beards, white. I mean, out of Deliverance or something, you know what I mean? But then Ali jumped out the car and he ran into the outhouse. And then the two white, considered rednecks, come over to the cars, and then he told me to roll down the window, and I said, okay. I rolled down the window. He said, oh, was that Cassius Clay coming out the car? Was that Cassius Clay? And the other redneck said, well, they don't call him Cassius Clay no more. The Muhammad Ali. That's what they call him. He ain't called Cassius Clay no more. He said, what was that him? I said, yes, sir. Sure enough, he said, yes, sir. I said, Jesus H. Christ, that was him. That was him. It was him coming out the car in the outhouse over it. Unbelievable. Then this grandma-looking woman coming with a little apron on and a little brown paper bag with little grease spots all over it, coming up here. Ali come out the car. Hey, catch Clay. You catch Clay. You know your name Muhammad Ali now. They don't call you Catch Clay no more. I told you that. And they're arguing about it, and I'm going, oh my goodness. And then the mama come up. She said, here, y'all take these here cookies. I just cook them. Y'all take them, and so y'all can have them on the road. And Ali grabbed the bag and took out, started eating it. I said, Ali, you want to eat those cookies? He said, they're good too. They're good. And I said, really? So I took one and ate one, and they said, now you not. He said, you ain't got to give us no money. Y'all just come on back down here. When you come back through here, you can bring some money next time. But y'all take these here cookies, get on down the road. We fill up the tank and blah, blah, blah. I said it. And then they were still arguing about that man named Catch Clay. I told you his name Muhammad Ali. And I go, these people, you just can't judge a book by looking at the cover. Because these people are the nicest, friendliest rednecks I ever seen. And they was really nice, and they just went on back, and y'all come back now, you hear? And they were nice as they could be. And Ali ate the cookie. I said, you eat out of it. You know, we never, and I personally have never run across anybody of racism or anything in my lifetime. So I think it's all in your attitude when you come toward people. You act a certain way, you just, be friendly and kindly. And I've just been fortunate not to have ran across people like that.
Okay, what's your thoughts on that, Lady Cherry?
I mean, power, like maybe that she was with the nation. I mean, maybe she was because she was so militant that she didn't realize if it was racism or not. You know, maybe because he was a fan, they were fans. That's why they were nice, but it sounded like they were going to sundown town at first. I don't know. I don't see how she couldn't see there's racism going on. I mean, we did a couple interviews clearly talking about it, so I don't know. Doesn't sound like she's too stupid, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know how you could not see it.
Right. You were blessed not to be in your era, ma'am, but it depends on who you run across these days, Yeah, that's true, Navi. All right, so now we're down to the last topic, and that is the Legos. The Iran Lego films are viral, and Americans are loving them. So Lisa's going to give us an update on that.
Americans are saying they are literally hooked on Iran's Lego videos, and they find them entertaining and interesting.
Yeah, we usually keep Shabaka's back.
And, of course, Trump is upset, but who cares about that? And look, I watch them too, and they are entertaining.
So Lady Chase going to go live this evening after Black Alpha Network. And then I'm going to go live again on Saturday for Front Line Blacc News. Saturday evening.
And they have good music on there. And, and unfortunately, the stuff America...
I don't know, I'm cutting out. Can you hear me now, Nabi? I said Lady Chase going to go live later on after Black Alpha Network. And then I'm going live again tomorrow evening for Frontline Blacc News. Okay.
Puts out is corny. It's corny. And you can tell the level of schooling is much higher with the Iranians than it is with the Americans. And they push those videos out like they're nothing. They'll be putting 2 and 3 of them out per day. And America can't compete. See, America can't beat them in a physical military war, and America is not beating them on social media either. So you saw what Donald Trump put out, that Trump Gaza. Oh, that song is horrible. Oh, that song is horrible. I don't know who came up with that cornball song. That song is awful. And Trump Gaza #1. No, the song is horrible. And maybe you should have done Legos, because that video was terrible. And all it is about Donald Trump trying to colonize Gaza. That's all the video is about. But Iran, it seems like they keep up with every single news story that comes out in America, and it reflected back in the Lego videos. So you can see they really study what's going on in America, and they throw it up, and then less than 24 hours later, if there's a story, just like Melania, not even a day later, they had Melania Lego videos out. So not only are they good, but they know how to push them out fast. And unfortunately, Iran has taught America a lot of things. Number one, y'all can't compete intellectually with Iran. You know, you can talk all that high IQ stuff all you want. You cannot compete on that level. You can't compete on a military level with them as well. You know, they really studied America, and they got maps of where all the military bases are. That's why Donald Trump wiped out the satellite feed, so nobody can see. But the people there are saying it's nothing left. Those bases are gone.
Oh, okay.
And y'all, I got another video coming out at 4:45, and Saudi Arabia and Kuwait just told Donald Trump to get lost. They don't want the U.S. on their military bases. Donald Trump was supposed to bring in effect Project Freedom.
Yeah.
And he was going to use Saudi Arabia and Kuwait's air bases. And they pretty much told Donald Trump to go to hell. So Operation Project Freedom is dead now, because he can't use the European bases. They already told him no. And now you can add Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. They done told Donald Trump, no, you're not using our air bases over here at all. And those are allies in the Middle East. And they just both gave Donald Trump the finger.
Damn.
So we'll be talking about that at 4:45. So y'all, let me go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah. My rent not playing.
Okay, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen.
So we can see your screen. Yep, a pure fuck up.
Hey, hold on 1 second. Did I just mess up? Yeah, no, I didn't. Okay, thank you, everybody.
He does not give a fuck about anything but himself. Clearly.
Yep. Like most narcissists. Exactly. Come on. I guess you're having technical difficulties. Let me fast forward a little bit.
we're tweeting, we're truth socialing, whatever. We're trying to win the war on social media, and we're not even doing that because do you have the Lego thing up? Can you get that Lego video? We're not even winning the shit talking war. We're not even winning that. The shit talk? You think America would win that? At least. If we're going to win one thing, we're getting bodied by Iranian AI in the war of shit talk. Truly. How embarrassing. We're the country that invented shit talk, and we're getting lit up.
I didn't have enough black people on your team.
Take a look.
Orange pig. America first? Oops. Oh boy, that was the slogan you stole. But Bibi's pulling strings and your vote is getting cold. We're not just fighting for Iran, hear this clear. Your people reached out to us. Yeah, we got the DMs here. If one nation's gonna stand against the Epstein regime's fear, it's us to the last breath. We've been doing it for years. We're standing here for everyone your system ever wrong. They've known all along.
How are we losing in this? We are getting bodied with the Lego stuff.
Stealing from your own people, making them bleed, taking tax dollars just to fund your own greed. They waking up to the lies, the illusions of words. You scream America first now.
Unbelievable.
Make Israel great again. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you.
I mean, we're not even winning that. We're losing that. I mean, it's unbelievable. God, if something's been off in the bedroom, you're not the only one. A lot of guys wait longer than they need to take action. The difference, getting real treatment is simple through HIMSS. HIMSS connects you with licensed healthcare providers online, giving you simple access to legitimate ED treatment options from home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy line. Just a complete, simple online intake. And a provider will review your information to determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment ships directly to your door in discreet packaging.
Lord. Lord have mercy.
Good evening, America.
Let's review the security protocol.
This is your late night update. Breaking from the New Yorker magazine.
Proceed to the White House.
A major interview drops. Former President Barack Obama speaks out on Iran and past talks. Here's the full story in rhythm. Stay tuned for details. That was May 4th, 2026, when the story broke wide. Obama sat down with the New Yorker, opened up about the tide. He recalled meetings with Netanyahu back in his own term. The Israeli leader pushed strong for military action to confirm. Same arguments presented years later to the current administration. Pressure on Iran's nuclear program and regional situation. Obama chose the diplomatic path to deal in 2015, while recent developments took a different scene. Netanyahu got what he wanted, and the actions we have seen. Strikes began late February, changing the whole routine. Gas prices rising, public clothes throwing mixed views. The interview raises questions in the evening news.
There's an update, facts on the breaker today. Two presidents, one leader, different choices in play. Obama reflects on the pressure that came. Questions if the outcome serves long-term aim. Now the world watches as the story unfolds.
Mine and Lego at omissions turning series into bold.
Plastic bricks building the conflict. We report YouTube trends showing the war in a different scale.
In the interview, Obama knows the record stands clear. Differences with Netanyahu over years appear. He expressed doubt whether military steps were the best way for Israel's future and the U.S. role in the fray. Recent strikes targeted facilities in Iran's land. Responses followed with missiles across the sand. Straight up Hormuz saw tensions and clashes at sea. Shipping lanes affected for global energy. Ceasefire talks mentioned, but progress moves slow. Both sides stating positions as the updates flow. Obama emphasized leadership with regard for dignity, human cost and alliances in the complexity. No direct reaction quoted from the current White House yet, but the interview circulates on every news outlet. And now for the viral part trending across your screen. I ran Lego and Mitchell with a style never before seen. AI generated bricks showing leaders as big as yellow missiles flying like toys in a battle. So mellow Lego scenes recreate the strikes and the talks. Satirical take on the serious geopolitical walks. From explosive news channels, the videos spread fast, millions of views as the end of elections last. Trump and Obama and Netanyahu appear, built out of blocks with the story made clear. No blood, just plastic. No anger, just play. Turning headlines into a visual display. Viewers debate if the trend helps understanding or simplifies conflict in this digital landing. Polls indicate public concern over the
IRGC just dropped. Your tax dollar bought this year, not a road, not a school. Let me make it clear. Johnny's got a ballroom and you paid the bill. 400 million. Yeah, your money still. You work the week you pay. You ask for nothing back. He tears down history and lays a golden track. So stay right here, cause this just gets worse. Welcome to America. We'll start with the verse. Orange man woke up with a blueprint in his hand. Said, I'll build the finest ballroom in the land. Tore down East Wing. Yeah, FDR would spin. Said, private donors pay it, not a dime of your skin. Apple, Meta, Amazon, they all lined up fast. But then the price got doubled. Didn't know how long that math would last. He promised not a penny. Swore it on his name. Then your tax bill showed up and the story changed. We're donating to America. Sure, Donnie. Sounds great. Donating with our money. Appreciate. And then, oh wait, someone fired a shot at the dinner party. And suddenly Lindsey Graham says, we need more in the name of safety. Let the taxpayers pay for the ballroom. How convenient. Donnie's got a ballroom, golden walls and marble floors. While the gas pump's killing you outside the grocery store. Pete said it's a gift to the world. We won the war. Yeah, gift with your receipt. You paid before. Now meet Pete Exit. Good morning, rise and shine. Used to pour the coffee, now he's drawing the front line. Fox and Friends on Monday. War orders Friday noon. From a TV anchor to Let's Blow Up the Moon. Through an Axel Live TV. Hit a man's head. Now he signs the orders of who's alive and dead. Crusader tattoos, yeah, the whole collection. Link the battle plan on Signal Family Group. No encryption. 6 hours in the hearing. Senators not done. Kill everybody. Pete, that's not a fun one. They asked him, was the war worth it? He said, don't be reckless, sir. You're the secretary. That answer's checklist. Johnny's got a ballroom, golden walls and marble floors. While the gas pump's killing you outside the grocery store. Pete said it's a gift to the world. We won the war. Yeah, gift with your receipt. You paid before.
What timeline are we living in? Like and save this. Go on my page. Scroll halfway down and you'll see another video that I did about how the IRGC and Iran are using Black inflected music to reach us and change narrative in America. Yeah, make sure to repost and like this.
I have contractors in my house because I'm doing some renovations, so it's very loud and so it's very hard to do content. But I had to share this with you guys because there was a new Lego video, and I have to say I think it's my favorite because I think this is how they really feel. Anyways, watch this.
We do not hate you, people of the West. We see you through the smoke of what they call progress. We are watched from across the ocean, from behind their walls. And what we see is a people who deserve better than what rules them. This is not a war cry. This is a wake-up call. Open your eyes, brothers and sisters. The hands that wave your flag are not the hands that hold you. Listen. We love Americans. We love your soul. The land of dreamers. The brave, the bold. But something sits on top of you. Dressed in your name. Spending your children's blood. Like a game. We love Americans. Oh yes, we do. But the ones who speak for you don't speak for you. Wake up before the morning's gone. They built the cage so slow. You thought it was your home. Yeah, they hand you left and right like two halves of a lie. Different faces, different voices, same agenda inside. One wears a blue suit, one wears a red tie. But behind closed doors, they shake hands and divide. The taxes from your table fund the war you never chose. They name it liberation, but it's oil. Everyone knows they call us terrorists on the television screen. While the real terrorism wears a suit and keeps a pension in a dream. They sell your children futures built on manufactured debt. Then send those very children off the wars they'll soon forget. And when the coffins come home draped in stars and stripes, nobody on that podium is losing sleep at night. The media machine spins before the body hits the ground. A new enemy is needed every time the polls come down. We watched it from Tehran, from Kabul, from Baghdad too. The ones they demonize were people just like you. They said we hate your freedom, but your freedom is our dream. We read your constitution, we know what those words mean. It's the ones who wrote the speeches and then bury what they said, who turned that sacred document into a tool of dread. We love Americans. We love your soul. The land of dreamers. The brave, the bold.
It's a little bit longer than that, but I can only play a certain amount of it before it won't push this out, and I wanted you to see it. But I believe them. I'm sorry, but anymore, I believe a lot of this kind of stuff, even though it is admittedly propaganda, but like I honestly think that it's closer to the truth than what we're getting out of our own government. I really do. They know it's our government and that a lot of us disagree with not just like what's going on now, but what has historically gone on. I really do truly believe that a lot of the Iranian people know that it's not the American people that want any of this, that we are getting screwed over by our own government. I don't know. It's a weird place to be when you're like, oh, I kind of trust the Iranian government more than my own, because they have their problems. I'm not here to say that they are a great regime. They're not. They terrorize their people and do a lot of bad things too. Their regime right now is not good for the Iranian people either. But in this one instance, when they're talking about what's going on right now with Trump, I believe this. Am I crazy?
Iran's Lego videos are absolutely my new favorite thing to watch, but you guys have to watch this latest one. Honestly, I'm not even kidding. It brought me to tears. It not only spoke so much truth, but they also made it known that they don't blame us, American citizens, and that most of us want peace, just want to live a normal, healthy life, take care of the ones that we love, be able to afford things like groceries and gas, and keep it fucking moving. If you guys have not watched this latest one, you have to watch until the very end. It's truthful, it's emotional, and it's a bop.
Same sun rising, but we're living in hell. While the leaders are ringing the funeral bell. Love for the people, but the system must cease. From Tehran to DC, we're screaming for peace. I'm writing this from Tehran, looking up at the sky, wondering how many drones are gonna pass us by. Another meaningless war, another theater of blood, while our mothers are weeping, burying the young in the mud. It ain't just here, it's the soldiers you send across. Just 18 years old, another devastating loss. Families fractured for a line drawn in the sand. I see the tears in my city, I see the grief in your land. Nobody wins when the youth are bleeding out on the street. Just the echo of boots and the tragic defeat. I got no respect for the suits sitting up on the hill, drafting up legislation that's a license to kill. You talk of freedom and justice, spreading the light, but all you spread is the terror in the dead of the night. Your politicians are puppets, strings pulled by the greed, selling weapons to anyone, ignoring the need. They sit in ivory towers completely out of touch, making billions on bombs while the world suffers so much. They point fingers at us, call us the axis of bad, while they fund the worst violence that the world ever had. Same sun rising, but we're living in hell. While the leaders are ringing the funeral bell. Love for the people, but the system must see. From Tehran to DC, we're screaming for peace. Now let's talk about Trump, the man painted in gold, tearing up the agreements, acting reckless and bold. Sanctions choking my people, couldn't get medicine in. Assassinated our general and you cheer for the win. You preach about morals, put the word on his back, but check the flight logs on Epstein, look at your tracks.
You really want to know why Iran is using Lego-style videos? Because simple propaganda works. But more than that, they are mocking America. They are telling the world the United States is acting like a child with missiles. Little plastic jets, little toy soldiers, little explosions. And honestly, that is exactly how this looks. Trump talks like he is playing a game. Bomb this, destroy that, regime change here, hell there. And Iran turned all of it into Legos to show you what they think of the American war machine. Not some untouchable empire, but a reckless child smashing blocks and calling it strategy. That is why the videos work, because modern media already turned war into entertainment. Bright colors, dramatic music, simple villains, no thought required. Allah says, the life of this world is nothing but play and amusement, and these people are proving it with missiles. Comment unseen for the free playbook.
As a global marketing executive, I've spent my entire career studying how brands build narratives. And right now, we are watching the first AI meme war in human history unfold in real time between the United States and the Islamic Republic of Iran. We have a sitting president using Truth Social for unhinged, profanity-laden war communication. He has posted AI-generated images of himself as a Jesus-like figure. The White House is dropping Hollywood-style trailers for military operations. The strategy here is to manufacture emotion. It is slopaganda, AI-generated slop weaponized for political ends. Meanwhile, the Islamic Republic of Iran is running a masterclass in information warfare using Lego. If you haven't seen them, there's a group called Explosive Media. They're a team of 18 to 25-year-olds based in Tehran churning out high-quality AI-generated Lego videos. These videos mock Trump and Bibi. They lean heavily into themes that resonate globally right now: anti-imperialism, anti-war sentiment, and the Epstein files. They claim to be independent, but they have admitted that the Islamic Republic has bought the right rights to their videos to be broadcast by Iranian state media. This is part of the problem. The Islamic Republic controls the narrative inside Iran as well. Right now, they are enforcing the longest government imposed nationwide near internet blackout in history, 55 days at the time of making this video. Over 90 million ordinary Iranians are cut off from the world. They cannot access YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok without paying insane fees for illegal VPNs or using Starlinks that could get them executed. Yet this group of 20-somethings has high-speed global internet access to upload their videos daily. Why? Because the regime controls all communication networks. If these kids were making Lego videos about the IRGC executing protesters, their internet would be cut in a second. They have access because their narrative serves the state. And it doesn't stop at Lego. The regime is also engaging in massive pinkwashing. Recently, state media broadcast a military parade in Tehran featuring women holding pink sniper rifles and pink drones. This is the exact same regime that murdered Mahsa Jina Amini for showing a little bit of hair during the Women Life Freedom protests. The same regime that executes young girls, rapes and tortures them while they are detained. They are using the aesthetic of female empowerment and girl power to rebrand their violence for a global audience. And by the way, this has to be an absolute communications and intellectual property nightmare for Lego. A beloved children's toy brand is being weaponized by a regime that executes children to amplify child pedophilia in the West. Let that sink in. Information control is the oldest trick in the dictator's playbook. Neither side cares about the truth anymore. They only care about the global narrative. The difference is, in the US, citizens can still speak up. In Iran, 90 million people are silenced while the regime speaks for them. Don't fall for the pink guns and don't fall for the Legos.
So hater ass. We just hating like a motherfucker. I found him educational, informative, a little bit humorous. Nothing. So you gotta read it or something.
Slop. Propaganda. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. You can't hear this Nabisco. Hey, baby. I think Lisa was having technical difficulties.
Media with AI generated.
Yeah, we can't hear that cracker at all. We can't hear nothing he's saying.
Playing out on the ground. It's exploding online. Iranian embassies and pro-Iran groups are flooding social media with AI-generated memes, many mocking President Trump and U.S. policy.
Mocking President Trump. No one's ever thought of that. Big deal. Look, no offense, Iran, but you're not exactly known as a cultural powerhouse. Okay, so good luck impressing Americans with your little videos.
The secrets are leaking. The pressure is rising. We locked on the target. And now you are hiding. LOSC. Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter. You the only one to blame.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Did I? What was going on there? Is there a sequel to a Lego movie I don't know about? Did I just see Iran fire a loser rocket at Lego Trump?
Yeah.
I mean, look, do I support Iran propaganda? No. Could it end up on my Spotify Wrapped? Absolutely. I mean, I kind of can't wait for Iran to headline Coachella next year. But if an Ayatollah can do that, you know what? I bet Donald Trump and his virgin maxing meme lords can go even harder. All right? Show him what you got, Trump.
You want to see me do it again? You want to see me do it again?
Yeah.
What the f was that? That was the shittest meme ever. How is Trump bad at this? What was the point of electing a cyberbully if he sucks at cyberbullying? I was worried we might be the bad guys in this war, but after seeing this diss track, I'm realizing it's much worse. What Drake?
Damn. It froze on Lisa's end, y'all, not mine.
Okay. So y'all, yeah, nobody is checking for no United States videos. As you can see, people are really focused on, if you go out and pull up the videos, there are so many people chattering about the Iranian Lego videos. Like I said, America could never match it. And if they could, we would have seen it by now. You know, we haven't seen it because they can't.
Yep.
Americans are not at that level with AI like the Iranians are. You know, it says a lot about where this country is. And the people at the top, like Donald Trump, that think he's better because he's not DEI and all that stuff. No, actually, you're worse. Because being that you are so privileged, you think you don't have to apply yourself, that everything will just fall on you and you'll just have everything work out the way you want. So look, y'all, I knew, you know, when I saw the first few videos that eventually a lot of people would be talking about this online, and they are. And it's nothing the US can do. You see what YouTube did, right? They shut down the channel that was putting out a lot of the videos. They shut it down. Y'all, those videos are appearing on YouTube, brand new ones, every single day. I think they are coming from hundreds of different accounts. So just because you took one account out, yeah, what are you going to do with the hundreds more that are out there posting? Just saying. So y'all, I got my next live at 4:45, and we're going to talk about how Project Freedom just collapsed in Donald Trump's face. So I will see you then. Thank you so much for being here. And if I don't see you, have a wonderful afternoon. Shalom, family.
Shalom, Lisa. All right, y'all. That's all we have for y'all. That's Lady Shay.
Man, I love the videos. I watch every single one they made so far. I find it, like I said, I find it very informative, very truth-telling. Music, some kind of really good beat. I like the rock ones. I like the ones with little hip-hop beats and whatever.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they just be telling the truth that the Legos be doing the most. Like playing it out. It's just like a Lego movie. I like Lego movies, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of find it quite amusing, very true time. Like, man, if I didn't watch the news, I just watched the Lego videos, I think I'd be caught up. Hey, they're pretty amusing. Just the fact that they're doing the Legos be doing the most. They shoot off bombs and read paperwork.
Yeah.
The fucking, the perversions and the insinuations. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, that's right. All right, y'all. We're going to wrap this thing up. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Shout out to Goddess Nobby for coming through.
Hey, Goddess Nobby.
Shout out to Michael for coming through. Shout out to Stone and Ancestors for coming through.
Thank
Shout
you,
out to Cut from a Different Cloth for coming through.
Thank you.
Shout out to, who else is in here? Not Cow Dog. Shout out to Cow Dog, but he didn't come through. Brother Claude, thank you for coming through. And it was somebody else. Who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting somebody, what you say. Oh, Sister Val, who said you coming through. And of course, Shabaka. I'm sorry, he was having technical difficulties, so he wasn't able to stay with us the whole time, but we will get it together next time. Thank you, Nabi.
Hey, Nabi.
She said, catch you on Friday, Bogue. I'll try to catch Lady Che later, or Mama Che later on. And that's hilarious how they're clowning Trump with Legos. Damn, that's classic.
Shit, they're like always telling the truth, too.
Yeah.
Like, no lies detected.
Yeah, so this is going to conclude season 11, episode 37 of Grand Rising with Shabaka and Chase in conjunction with the Front Line Blacc News. Join Lady Che later for the RBA. And join us tomorrow for Front Line Blacc News. In the meantime, make sure y'all like and subscribe to all of our platforms. Front Line Blacc News on YouTube and Facebook. The Revolutionary Agenda on YouTube and Facebook. and Shabaka's Black Experience Enhance on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So peace, love, light, reparations, delineations, and separations, and Black empowerment. Chan Krumah and Lady Che signing off from the Mile High Income and Legal Market for the City. We'll see y'all later for RBA and tomorrow for Front Line Blacc News. Peace.